Perfect. Let us begin. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, hot day of Shabbat from California, the US of A, today being of the 2nd, which is the 5th month of the year 5995 from creation. This is August 15th of 2026 in the Gregorian calendar, in which we shall study yet another chapter, which is not just another chapter, it's a very special one, of Wisdom and Discipline, Part 79, which bears the title, Out of Nowhere, Out of the Blue. The Mark of the Beast. Hidden, because rather, actually, this wisdom is for the eternal truth. And today we shall study something rather special, very special, which will change our true understanding of what really is the mark of the beast. So then, we shall begin today by greeting those who have had a birthday, which are as follows. Oda Mendoza, the US of A, Juan Samuel Duque Orozco, Spain, Edgar Humberto Razo, Honduras, Rafaela Noemí Iraira Cortés, Chile, Micaías Ezequiel Sosa Requena, Argentina, Sergio Andrés Montoya, Argentina, Nancy Rivera Zamorata, Chile, Elida Mosquera Luna, Colombia, María José Castillo Calderón, Mexico, Romina Araya Pizarro, Chile, Esdras López Mateo, Guatemala, and Gabriela Giselle Martinez, who is here with us today. Was actually, her birthday is actually tomorrow as soon as the sun goes down, but we're already celebrating it from right now. Very happy birthday to you, Gabi, and for the all rest of you, a great big hug. Many congratulations, joy, and blessings on behalf of all of us, and may it be one of your last birthdays under this system. Very well. I'd like to remind you that we've got a free service, and Angelina's in charge of it, who is willing to treat all those who need her, who are going through some sort of problem, which are called ailments. We know that they have a different origin to what it is claimed to be known, and she could try to make you understand, and if it is solvable, which it depends on you, it's a free service. So then for the eternal truth, as well as for everyone else that would like to communicate with her, her Facebook is in the description of this video. You can write to her, and she will answer you in the time that she may have. So then many thanks to all of you that remember that we have this free service, of which Angelina is in charge of, which is not many, but they are thanked for every last one of them. We'll talk a little bit about Boca. Last Shabbat, we enjoyed the game against Bele. It was a very good game of Boca, just that we don't have any definers. We don't have anyone to place the ball inside. In the goalie we've got, I'm not saying that it'll be a failure, but actually he's got now some mistakes. I don't know, because he's nervous or what, because it's still difficult for him to accommodate himself with the goalpost of Boca, which is bigger than any other goalpost. Maybe that's heavier on him, and maybe he becomes a great goalie, but I don't know. But due to a very childlike mistake, they scored on us, It was from a different game. It has nothing to do with this, but oh well. We tried 1-1 when we should have won that game. We lost 2 points. Instead of scoring 3, we only got 1 against Vélez. But oh well, that's the way it happened. And on Tuesday, we played against Recoleta. This Paraguayan team, I thought they played better. It's a tiny team, tiny team. To top it off, they kicked out 2 of their players and we won 2-1. We did play well. We did get like 40 times to the goalpost in statistics, but actually I cannot measure Boca because it was a very tiny team. 2 less players. We couldn't score when they were 11-11, a tiny team. Then Boca got closer, but they had 1 player less and then 2 players less, and we should have won at least by 6 goals. I can't understand how is it that we can't score on that goal post. It hits on the post, on the other post, it bounces off, or we just hit it completely wrong. It's strange. I hope that the player we bought, Ener Valencia, this Ecuadorian, that I think is an excellent player. He's big. He's older, I think 36, 37, he's older. It's till December of next year. It's a short contract, and if he does well, they'll lengthen it. I think he's gonna get bored with scoring, but I don't know. I'll make it as positive as possible that he's really gonna kill it on the World Cup. He played really bad. Taking that out, he's a player that has very good conditions, and he is a goaler. He's older, but sometimes when you play in 9, it doesn't affect to be too much older if you know how to hit the ball correctly. We'll see. I hope positively that Ener Valencia kills it in Boca. I think he'll be debuting today at 5:15. We play 5:15 today, my time, against Platense. We'll be visitors in Platense, and I believe we're not going to have Paredes. We knew that Paredes was tired, but I don't know what the coach will do. I also don't know if Ener Valencia will debut or not. I hope, because we want a frontman that can score. And on Tuesday we play once again in Paraguay against Recoleta at 3 p.m. my time. We're 3-1 in the global, in the overall standings. If they win 2-1, we go to penalties. I don't think that they can beat us, not even Paraguay. It's a very tiny team. I saw them play and I said, no, this team, unless the goalie does something crazy and they score on us, I think it's an easy one. I think it's an easy game. We'll see. Very well. Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God, Yahweh one is. This is even. For today's subject, the mark of the beast, it is fundamental. If you don't understand this, you won't be able to understand absolutely anything in the Bible. You'll think you understand, of course. Everybody believes they understand. They all think that they have an interpretation that is fabulous, magnificent, unique of the scriptures. No one understands a thing. They don't even understand this first text, that there is no other being that is like unto Yahweh. He doesn't have a brother, a co-equal, not a son. He has no one. For us, no one. It's only one being that created this, that we see and we touch. When the moment comes that he said that he would come to earth, he came, and he was not the Son. God did not send the Son, he sent himself. He sent himself in the mode of a son, so then he that is the father of it all also applies, also of evil, invented a son, and he said, I am the Son of God. He was not the Son of God, it was God himself. And he came to earth, he took on a human body, he acted as the Son of God, and he formed a new religion, Christianity. If this is not understood, then clearly you'll be a Christian. He himself, under the skin of the Son of God, which he was not, but impersonating the Messiah to give a sample of what the Messiah would be, he said, John 8:31-32, then the Messiah said unto the Jews that had believed on him, if ye were to remain in my word, then ye shall be my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They never knew the truth. Even if they were to remain in the word of that character, could you know the truth? This was said only showing the true Messiah that would come 2,000 years later, that he would have the truth, because he was not the Messiah. So then those words belong to the new Messiah. Since he was a figure of the Messiah, and the Messiah says this phrase, if ye remain in my word, then ye shall truly be my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth. And the truth shall make you free. Free of what? Of all lies. All lies, especially religious ones. Why is the whole world deceived and they think they understand? They don't understand because he wrote a book, which is the Bible, which is not a book to understand it as it is written. No, it is concealed. Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of Elohim, of the Creator, the only one there is. This word is concealed. Yet the glory of the King is to search out the word. And the King of Israel is not referring to the King of Israel, the King of Rome is not referring to any of that, but rather the true Messiah. So then, the Bible is concealed, and the Messiah will understand it. The rest will get to different interpretations, non-correct, of the scriptures because it's concealed. And that is what the plan is. That's the way it is. And the people in the end of times will say, all of them, the Christians, the Jews, the Arabs, and the rest, Yahweh, the new God, not Yahweh the Creator, will say, new God, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, how many peoples? All of them, all the peoples. What are they going to say? Only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is lies as in reference to what? If it is man that makes himself gods, then they are not gods. And how did man make himself gods? Because he read the scripture, he started to worship whatever, like worship Yahweh, like if he was a divine being, and the Son as being God. So it's all inventions of men by reading this book. If it is man that makes himself gods, and they're not gods. That's why, behold, this time I shall show you, in that future time they shall know. This time I shall show you the strength of mine arm, my power, and you shall know that my name is Yahweh, I am that I am. That Yahweh is no one's name, it is I am that I am. The one that I am means what you're seeing is your God. That's what it is. I am what I am, or who I am. Very well. It's not anyone's name, it's applied to anyone. Wisdom and Discipline, part 79. The text, you know this practically by memory. Revelation 13, 16 to 17. And he made everyone, great, small and great, rich and poor, free and slaves, to be placed a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that none could buy or sell, but rather the one that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. I believe that all the people that have read Revelation have tried to understand and discover what is this which is so enigmatic. Because to top it off, the next text says, and here there is wisdom. The number is a number of man, and if you count it, you'll see who it is. That throws everyone off, and it says this number is 666. There's other versions of 616. There's other versions. It would seem that it would say a phrase in Arab. It doesn't matter, because the thing is that it's concealed, and because of other situations, it doesn't matter. There's no Christian in the world that does not fear this text, because no one wants to receive the mark of the beast. In fact, everyone wants to avoid the mark of the beast, of course. So then, the different interpretations have come through the times. What is the mark of the beast? The beginning of Christianity. They understood that it was Nero, because the name Nero, and I don't know what, it was 666, and it was actually the one that had power, and he was evil. It was Nero. He was the guy that was the beast. And in turn, as things in the years and the centuries passed by, the interpretation started to change. What was the mark of the beast? What is the mark of the beast? Adventism came along, and with their interpretation, they said the mark of the beast is Sunday, because it is the mark of the papacy, the mark of the beast. Because in order to get to understand what the mark is, you have to first understand who the beast is. Because it is the beast, the mark of the beast. So then you cannot understand the mark if you don't first understand whom it belongs to, that mark. When in your interpretation, whichever it might be, you understand or you identify the beast, then of course you're going to look to see what would be the mark or the number or the name of the beast. Because you don't want anything to touch you, not having the name of the beast, nor the mark of the beast, nor the number of the beast. You don't want to have anything to do with the beast. So then, depending on your interpretation of what the beast is, you will try to find what its mark is, what its number is, what its name is. So then the Adventists, as I was born in that religion, many of you also, they interpreted that the beast is the Catholic Roman Church, which is the beast. So then the beast was directed by the papacy. And the papal power in the years 300, they all changed through decrees in the religion, the Sabbath unto the Sunday. So then they sanctified the Sunday, and they said from here on out, this is the day that must be worshipped, and they placed that as a mark, quote unquote. And there are commentaries in the Catholic Church that say this is our mark of power, that we can change what the Bible says. Because the Bible does say the Sabbath is a day of worship, but we, in order to show our authority and power, we have the right to change. And it is a mark. Well, the Adventist Church, the pioneers, and Ellen G. White, they took on that concept and said, yes, of course, the Catholic Church is the beast, so then the mark is something which is forced upon the people, and it has to be Sunday. So then they made up an entire future revelation, an apocalypse, where the Catholic Church would gain on even more power each time, to the point of decreeing that Sunday would be an obligatory day of adoration, where no one could buy or sell or work. And then they saw that that also didn't work as well, because of course, yes, it is obligatory, but the Adventist Church invented something else, that the Catholic Church would persecute those who kept the seventh day. So then the seventh day, or the Sabbath, They made it as a mark of God. The seal of God, they call it, the Sabbath. They have the seal of God, and the others have the mark of the beast. So then, when in the future time there is a Dominical law of obligation of keeping Sunday, there's also going to be a parallel law of obligation to work and transgress upon the Shabbat. Look at the craziness. They weren't going to be just enough with just worshiping on Sunday, but also to break the Sabbath, and all those who would dare to rest on the Sabbath would be persecuted at first, and then later law, a death penalty law would be issued for those who would not work on the Shabbat. That insanity, the Adventists believe up until today, and they faithfully believe in that. For us, that is absolutely more than laughable. It is actually, how the fuck did we ever get to think and believe in that thing? Stupidity. Very well. Other churches have other marks. They have, through time, where there was the code, the barcode, it had like a 6, the first one, a 6 in the middle, and a 6 at the end, which was like a seal that the barcode had, and they decoded it and said that barcode is the mark of the beast. There were figurines already that the guys were there with the barcode right there on their forehead. And the churches, non-Adventist ones, but the evangelical ones, it was that the mark of the beast was the barcode system. That happened with time, it passed. And then other different conjectures came along of what the mark of the beast would be. And this last time, even we started, and also the churches, I was forgetting, I never went to those churches. They invented that there was going to be a chip. There was a chip. Just like a grain of rice, it would be on your hand or on the forehead, so that chip. It was like a radio frequency, like what is placed in the dogs. They would take a little better. They would know exactly where you were, all your physical health statuses. So then, do not allow yourself to get the chip, because that was the mark of the beast. And always, humanity is oh, what's the next thing that we have to be careful with? And of course, we, seeing all these types of things, we also interpret it with much reason, and I still sustain it up until today, that the mark of the beast has to do with the vacuum cleaners. Vacuum cleaners of the cup of wine. And that still it's got something to do, and it's part of, but it's not the mark of the beast that the Bible's talking about. What is it about the mark that the Bible talks about? It's a very deep subject today. It's only for those who have understood everything that I've spoken up until today, not just understood, but that they feel it in their being, they live it, and comprehend it, and practice it. For the rest of the world, it would be absolutely unacceptable, an absolute insanity, what I'm about to say today, a complete insanity. But I'll explain for what reason they cannot understand it, and it'll be easy to understand it for all those who are willing to understand this. I was forgetting that we have received 2 gifts here. We don't know who it's from. Can you tell us? Please, someone sent us these 2 precious jerseys. This one says, it says an Argentinian sun, it says Argentina here, Argentina there. You tell us if you're seeing it there, who gave us this to thank you for. This one's mine, which is very pretty, spectacular, of one side and the other. It's very, very beautiful. These 2 jerseys. Oh, Graciela Josias. Oh, okay, thanks. Graciela Josias. Because sometimes they arrive and they don't have anything, not a card or mention. We don't have the least idea. So many thanks, Josias and Graciela. They arrived here perfectly well, and here we still have Donkey. Donkey's here. Donkey is in the representation of all who don't understand that I'll speak of today. Donkey is a donkey, but he's sympathetic. We like him. That's why I left Donkey here, Mr. Donkey. Very well. I'll answer, and all this subject comes along not because I planned it, because I hadn't planned to teach it yet, but based on a question of yours, I said, well, it must be the time, because I got myself through the moments. I plan things, but sometimes there are changes in the programming. Question number 1 reads as follows. This one was public. It's in a video. There's a reason why I left this from Carlos Benitez 8201. It's a video that says a great big doubt that I have. Where does one's soul go of a person that's been aborted? Thank you. I've answered this many times already. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but I'll answer it in this way. In my point of view, it has no soul. A baby that has been aborted has no soul. The soul has not been developed. There's no soul there. In fact, if it's already planned for it to not exist, maybe aborted or died at birth, lived for a week and died, they could live for a month and died. I don't know. All those reasons, in my point of view, it's a non-existent. So then, I could be wrong. We'll know this later when we know the mysteries, because God, in the moment in which He gives us the command, He has to give us a whole planification and all the mysteries of how He did things. So there's no magic here. There's no magic. It's all the same that we do in a different scale. All the ingenuity of what a computer is, which for a person of 500 years ago would be complete magic, what I'm seeing here. And then I'm speaking and you hear me in the whole world, absolute magic of God or of the devil, whatever, but it's magic either way. We know that it's not magic. Even we, that give or take know the way it works, we're not capable of whether this whole thing disappears. And we have engineers that know what they're doing, because we couldn't even build a translator. We need a whole bunch of people that know what is going on, that have studied it, that have done it, and everything that is about technology is not magic. Computer, cell phones is not based in magic, but for a person of 200 years ago or more, it would be absolute magic that I'm speaking, and then I'm speaking, and to top it off with a one that goes in the ear, just like that, not even something in my hand, and speaking with somebody that is thousands of kilometers of distance, a person would say that it's angel or God speaking, or the devil is there. Complete magic. And we know that it's not magic. How do we know it's not magic? Because there's a technology behind. Everything that God does and what the new God will do is not magic. It's a technology. So then the technology of the souls, that of resurrection, that of all that is technology. We don't have it now, but it's technology nonetheless. Very well. What is this? A gift. From whom? Miguel Angel. Oh, it's from Miguel Angel and Monica. Perfect. Many thanks. It says, they laughed there. It says, read what it says, Brian.
At first, don't succeed. Try doing what Leslie told you to do the first time.
So if things don't turn out well, the first time, then do it the way Leslie said first. Many thanks for the advice. That is true. Thank you for the advice that I already knew. Miguel Angel and Monica. Many thanks. Very comical and very true. It is true. I had used it already. Leslie loved it and said, oh yes, of course, and used it. That's why she brought it. That's what she brought it. Yes. So then she had already worn it. It had been worn because she liked it. She liked it so much that it had been worn. Very well. So then many thanks for the gifts. So then here comes a question. What happens with the souls? In my point of view, someone who has not begun to think has no soul. But well, that is to be seen. It is to be seen. If an individual has not begun to develop its thoughts and to elaborate its own thoughts, it has no soul, in my point of view. No soul, in my point of view. I know that you're going to think that I'm wrong. I don't care what you think. For me, an aborted kid cannot be resurrected because he never lived. He did not exist. He never existed. He did not exist, period. A 6-month-old baby, in fact, has not existed in my point of view. Maybe I'm too extremist in what I'm saying. We'll see it later, don't you worry. When the Creator gives us the technology with which He created and how the souls are created and the souls know the rest, well, then we're gonna once again discuss that. But don't worry about that now at all. Very well. Let us go to question number 2, which is the one that comes up in the title of the subject. Hello, Christian. Greetings. Christian, do you think that the mark of control was the shot? Or of the being on the computer with your fingerprint, and of the entire humanity to be controlled by the great computer? No, because now came out another explanation, interpretation of the mark, which will be the artificial intelligence, that the AI will control us, mark us, and will tell us what we have to do, say, and act, what we should and should not do, and a complete mental control. I sustain. Do I still sustain that it is the shot? Well, based on this, I could not escape, and I said I'm going to give the subject that I was going to present later. But it's like these triggers and the adequate time that I believe. I'm going to say it later. It's not necessary now, but to answer this question forces me. It forces my hand to develop the subject, which for me it's extraordinary. What I'm about to say, it's fabulous if you understand it. Before reading any biblical text, I'm going to say that Sunday, as a day of worship, is part of the mark. You might say, oh, he went crazy. No, it's part of the mark. Part of the mark. The barcode? I don't consider it to be the part of it. The shots? Part of the mark. Part of the mark. Artificial intelligence? I personally don't consider it to be part of the mark. What other things did we say that were the marks that I forgot? Well, give or take those. Those are the marks. What else? The chip? The chip? If a chip existed within us, I would consider it part of it. If there's a chip that they would place in us like that, I would consider it to be a part of the mark, okay? So then I said Sunday, yes. Shots, yes. Chip, yes. Barcode, no. AI, no. In my opinion. But none of that is the mark. I said it's part of, but it's not the mark. The mark has always been before us, right in front of us, but we didn't see it. because we had to go through a series of understanding things that would be difficult to understand. Once we understood them and we started to live them, and we have been traveling through this, now we're mature enough to understand what is the mark. The mark has always existed. But we want to talk about the mark mentioned in Revelation, because the mark has existed from the beginning of time. And I'll read it to you. And it's all part of the same thing. It's all part of the same thing. Which takes to the final ending, which is to understand what the mark is. To understand this, I don't know if to say down directly what the mark is or read this text. I'll start by reading the text. I'll start by reading this text. Let us go. Let us go to Genesis once and for all. Let's go to Bereshit, Genesis. I'll read it in the New Living Translation. First of all, I'd like to know if you're listening to me well, if you're interested in the subject. How many likes are there? Is it 111? 111. What a good number. 112, okay? But we have 111, but 151 watching. What the fuck are you doing? And you don't give us a like, because I don't need the likes, tell the truth. There comes a point that it doesn't matter. I don't even promote myself for others to watch, no, but it is just because friendship that we are one. I'm saying, yes, of course I listen to Christian if I listen to him, because I want to listen to Christian, even if it's once a week. Of course I'm going to give my like. Of course I'll give my like. And then comment on the video afterwards, just because of that. And I don't need your likes for anything. I could give a fuck to promote this video. This video is for you, no one else. The other people would not understand it, period. Directly, they would not understand it. I don't care how many in the world I would make them see this. It doesn't matter. In fact, there's a chance to understand it's only you. That is why I tell you to give us a like. It's not because of the algorithm. I could give a fuck about the algorithm. What was I going to say? Genesis. Genesis 4:15. We start with the first marked person in history. Who marked him? You already know that the one that marked was, and whom did he mark? Cain. Because the one that likes to mark people is God. He's the marker. And the Lord answered, and it was Yahweh answered, no, because I will punish anyone that would kill thee. So then the Lord Yahweh, the Creator, marked Cain. Who is the one that starts by placing the mark? And this is a literal mark. But the first one that was placed was by him when he said, you will have pain when you bear children. You'll be subjugated unto man. And tell the man, you're going to have to work. Those were marks. You start to mark and you're going to die. A mark upon a mark. The Lord put a mark on Cain to warn anyone who might try to kill him. So then the places marks is the Creator, the only one there is. So then once we understand that no devil exists, we start off with Yahweh. W. We start off with Yahweh. Only divine being that exists, no one else. With time, he went down and made himself be known as Jesus. With this religion, he made the Jews. With this religion, he made the Christians. Christi. 8, no, right there. It made the Christians, but we're still with the being anybody against, because there's no Satan, no Holy Spirit, no Son of God, only one. That same one made himself be Jesus, then came back to go become Yahweh again. But that's how he made this Christian religion. Now, out of this one is what the beast depends on, because the beast has only one God creator, director, that gives power and authority and throne. It is him. So then we've got Yahweh, Jesus, and the beast. This would be what God is: Yahweh, Hashem for the Jews, Jesus for the Christians. We could also add Allah here, another version. It's the same shit but different order. We have Allah here for the Arabs. Got Yahweh, two versions: Yahweh, Hashem, and Allah. Either way. In the third version, Jesus for the Christians, and a whole bunch of other versions for the rest. For the American, Native Americans, the Indians from India, the Orientals, we have a whole bunch. Everything depends on this one. Everything, different apparitions of his. But since we care about this line, not this line, not the Allah line, we care about the line from Yahweh Jesus. We know that the beast is a creation of Yahweh for his ends. The beast is not a creation of an enemy of Yahweh, but it's a creation of Yahweh, and it's based on his people. It is based on his people. We already understand that. There's no need to comprehend it. So then who is the beast? For the Adventists, it's the Catholics. For us, it is the hidden power of this Jewish people, which has been integrated in the entire world, and a great beast was formed, which is not just the Jews, but the entire government system, that there are Jews and non-Jews, that the beast has different branches, like an octopus takes the place of politics, science, entertainment, news, even sports, all, it places a tentacle in there. So then to say that it's only the Jews or Israel would be a mistake. It is born from there, authentically, it is this, but it's already been expanding so much that it already involves the entire world. Every president of the world is part of the beast, whether they're Jewish or not, because it responds to a secret order from within. So then it's not just to say the Jews, no, it is the entire world. That's why it says, who is like unto the beast, and who could fight against her? Because the beast is everyone, and the text says, and he would cost for everyone. Not that it would cost for some, it would cost for the most. No, everyone. How many have received the mark of the beast? Everyone. The subject is to take the mark out, to take it out. Now that you have received the mark of the beast, I don't have the least of doubts about it. Everyone has received it. When the text says, I'll explain to you every single word of Revelation, interpret it. And when you say he would cause for everyone, small and great, poor and rich, for a mark to be placed upon, that's it, it's everyone. It would make everyone. Not that most. And in nowhere it says that some that escaped. No, it doesn't say that. It does say in certain parts those who did not receive, which I can interpret that as those who took it off of them. So then, the entire humanity has been marked. That's the way it is. You're understanding a little bit of what the mark is. If you understand this, now, second step, so then we have Yahweh, we have Jesus, we have law, it's all the same thing. We have the beast, which is the power that Yahweh directs. So then, I want you to understand, if the beast marks The one who marks is Yahweh. Do you remember when in the cup of wine, Jeremiah is told, take this cup from my hand and give everyone to drink from thereof? Well, Jeremiah, I told you, represented what? The beast. We have Yahweh and we have the beast. And the beast gives how many to drink? Everyone. Everyone. And it says no one is saved. If I start with my own people, Jerusalem, of course I'm going to give everyone to drink, Jeremiah says. Chapter 25. So then we have Yahweh as God in power, the beast as the one that is directed and guided and does what this one wants. That's why Jeremiah had the cup in his hand that he received from Yahweh and he gave it to everyone. Jeremiah represents the beast, exactly. And you already knew this. It's already in the mind. It's already there. I'm not saying anything new. No, I've already told you. Jeremiah represents the beast. And the beast gives everyone to drink. And if they say no, it says give it to them either way. Give it to them either way. And we have drunk from the cup of Jeremiah. Of course, everyone has drunk from the cup of Jeremiah. If I want to apply it only to a shot, I'll say, no, we haven't drunk from that. But how many other cups did I drink from? Because the beast. We have to understand whom it works for. Very well. Having understood that, we'll move on. Now I'll interpret for you a prophecy which is in Song of Solomon, chapter 8, 5 through 7, and I'll interpret to you very differently from what you have interpreted or others have interpreted to you, of which in this case that we're the bride and he's the husband that comes along. No. Song of Solomon 8, 5 through 7, the Spanish RV 1960. And it reads as follows: Who is this one that cometh up from the wilderness leaning upon her beloved? Who is this one who comes up from the wilderness leaning upon her beloved? I raised thee up under the apple tree. There thy mother brought thee forth. That's a lie. That's a mistranslation. I'll tell you what it is. Notice that the mother of this woman would have given birth to her under the apple tree. No, it says that she had sex under there, not that she gave birth. But these translators don't want to translate that because for them it's like pornographic, but it says something else. I'll read to you what it says, and in other versions as well. I don't know why. Of course, the translators have not dared to write what it says actually, but it says, there your mom had pains, the one that gave birth to you. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is strong as death. Jealousy is cruel as the grave. The coals thereof are coals of fire, which hath a most vehement flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man would give all the substance of his house for this love, it would utterly be contemned. Who is this interpretation? Do you want to know what it says before I interpret it? I'll read it to you, another version, the Spanish Torah Shemah, so as to not look for a Jewish one. Very pornographic. In the book of Song of Solomon, not pornographic, it's explicitly pornographic. The Spanish Torah Shemah says, Song of Solomon 8, 5 through 7. O women of Jerusalem, do not wake up, do not awaken my beloved until she wants to. Who is this one that comes up out of the desert, overflowing with all this delight, which means with a body that is very sexy, sensual, not food. On her beloved, who is this sexy woman? And the husband says, I picked you up from under the apple tree where you were laying, oh my wife, where your mother was deflowered. That's very different than to say you had a child, right? But that's what it says. Because below an apple tree, nobody has a son. But below the trees, people do other things. Where your mother was deflowered, where the one that saw you be born was violated. Oh, this changes completely what it says. That's what it says. Where the one that gave you birth was violated, so then your mother, the husband is saying, if you know that below this apple tree, your mother was deflowered and violated. That is what it's saying. The husband is telling his wife, or beloved, therefore set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm. It's like I'm reading the Apocalypse here. For love is as strong as death, and just like hell, it cannot be quenched. And the jealousy is like a volcano. The coals thereof cannot extinguish the love, or the rivers suffocate it, though a man, in recompense of this love, would give all his reward of his house, they would have him as naught. Now I'll interpret this marvelous text, of whom it is speaking, of what, who it's speaking about. Who is this one that comes up out of the desert, leaning upon her beloved? Okay. It is very clear if you didn't see it until I interpret this, because you still have a little bit of comprehension, but I'll interpret it for you. This one is the Christian religion. Is the one that has a mother that was violated. So then this is the one, a religion that is born out of naught. In a desert, his mother is also there. Who is this one that comes up out of the desert, leaning upon her beloved? It's the same as if to say, who is this new religion, this Christian religion that comes up out of nothing, leaning upon her beloved Jesus? We're getting to that. You have understood that point. That Jesus, which is not just her husband, but the husband of her mother too, is the same character. Because the Christian church, they think that they're the bride of Jesus, and that the father of Jesus, the father, because it's a trinity, actually it would be the husband of Israel. But they're not thinking about marrying the father. It's not the wedding with the father, but with the son. So then, this one, who is this one, comes up out of the desert, leaning upon her beloved. This Christian religion comes up out of nothing and is leaning and supported by Jesus. Under an apple tree I awoke thee, Jesus told her, and she didn't understand it. There, your mother, I know this because that's the one that violated her, Israel. That same Jesus is Yahweh. That's why he knows. He says, you don't know that in the same place I already violated your mother. There your mother had pains. Pain of violation, not of birth. Out of birth giving. The one that gave birth to you had pain there. And notice well the way it is written here, that if I had not directly read to you in a different version and explained, you would have not understood it anywhere. Look at what it says. Under an apple tree I awoke thee. There your mother had pains. There the one that gave birth to you had pain. Since it says the one that gave birth to you, one interprets mentally, oh, she had labor pains. But if now I read it, I haven't understood that. It doesn't say that she had labor pains. It says she had pain. She had pain there. Yes, she did have pain. The one that gave birth to you, your mother. But it doesn't say what kind of pain. It says pain, a violation. Because Yahweh's dealing, all he does is to violate people and to mark people and kill people. So then the character already, the same character violated the first wife, which was Israel. And then later grabs the cursed one too, in the same place. He says, you're such an idiot, you don't even know who I am, I'm the same one. But now you see me with a different name because they say, you're Jesus. The other one was the father, evil, but you're the son. The other one wants to kill me, but you're the son, you want to save me. But this Christian girl is such an idiot because she's violated by the same being that violated the mother. The text says it, if you know how to read it. And this shameless guy says, place me. He says, now you have to place me as a seal upon your heart. Place me. The husband tells the Christian church, place me as if I were a seal. And it's not enough but like a mark upon thine arm. So the Christian church is extremely sealed with the mark of Jesus, which in turn is the mark of the beast. But it's more than clear. Jesus tells the Christian church, put a seal in your heart. What does that mean? You have to love me. Place me. It's a command. And place me like a seal upon thine heart. Place me as a mark upon thine arm. So then the Christian church had the mark and has the mark of Jesus. And we know that Jesus is the beast. It is very clear. That's why I told you, we always had the beast, the mark. We had the seal of Jesus in our heart. Reading on and continuing to interpret. Place me as a seal upon your heart, as a mark upon thine arm. For it is strong as death, love is. It is very clear that Christians are willing to die for their love, or is it not? The Christians would give their life for that love, and the ones living now, they worship those Christians that would give their life for love. They would die for Christ. They would live and die for Christ, die for Jesus, because they respond to this prophecy that said it clearly. Not just did this guy place a seal, a new religion, lie to them. It was the same violator. They don't notice that their mother was extremely violated. We'll get into that. But now violates the church, which is the daughter of Israel, and says, "You want to come to the same place? Come to the same place where your mother was violated. How did you know that she was violated? How do you know that? Because I'm the same violator, but you can't tell. Now you're gonna love me though. Place me as a seal upon your heart, a mark on your arm, just like the mark of the beast. It's the same thing. Because it's strong as death, love is, and that's true. They would rather give their life and die than to abandon Christ. Hard as Sheol is the jealousy. They're jealous for Christ. The coals of fire have a strong fire. Exactly. That's why they invented hell, where they all go, all who denied Christ. Their love for Christ is so strong that Christ saves you, but in turn, if you don't love Him, He sends you to the coals, into the strong flames of fire, because He's very jealous. This is a description of the Christian church is. And it goes on. The many waters will not quench love. And that's true. And with that I understand. It doesn't matter what argument you give to the Christian masses, you will not convince them. And they are willing to give their life for what they believe, that love they have, because they are sealed by their beloved. Doesn't matter the multitude of peoples or arguments that you give, the many waters will not be able to quench the love. I've experienced it. Neither can the floods drown it. There is no reason whatsoever to separate it. And notice what it says. Not even with money. If a man would give, in other words, just any man, would give all the goods of his house for this love, if they would try to steal that love from them, truly they would have him at naught. It means that you cannot buy the Christians. I'm not talking about the true Christians that love Jesus above all things. There's no way of buying them for them to stop loving him. In the other version, it said, once again, I'll read it again. O daughters of Jerusalem, stir not up nor wake up my love until she please. Who is this one that comes up out of the wilderness, pouring with delight, leaning upon her beloved? Who is this one? Christian religion. Who is that beloved? Jesus, which is equal to Yahweh, which is equal to the beast. And the beast speaks, I woke you up from under the apple tree, O my wife, where in the same place where thy mother was deflowered, where the one that saw you be born was violated. The one that saw you be born is the Jewish people. And they saw the Christian church be born. It was born from there. It says, in the same place I violated the Jewish church, and I'll violate you. Therefore place me as a seal upon thine heart. Now I, your husband, Jesus, I'm a seal upon your heart. The same thing as to say the mind, the forehead. Place me as a mark upon thine arm. They mark themselves. For love is stronger than death, of course. You already understood it. And jealousy is cruel as the grave. That is how they are. They want everyone. That's how cruel they are. They want everyone to go to hell. Everyone that does not believe like them. The many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it. If a man, in recompense of this love, would give all the rewards of his home for this love, because to draw out the love, to steal the love from you, the love of that woman, it says if a man, now the Christian woman is without Jesus, in love with Jesus, marked by Jesus, sealed by Jesus. If another man comes along that courts that woman, wants to make her fall in love with him, and he sells everything, even though in reward of this love, that man, that woman would love that man, would give all the goods of his house, it would be as nothing. That woman will say, I could care less. Anything that you can offer me, I have my husband, which is Jesus. They don't know that it's the same violator of his mother. So then, that woman is the Christian religion. Their mother is the Jewish religion. The beloved is Yahweh, equal to Jesus. The mark, how they want it to be marked, is very important. Record this, which I'm saying, record it in your mind. The mark, in this case that I'm reading, what is it? It says it. It is the love and faithfulness towards Yahweh. I'll repeat it again. The mark in this prophecy, because it says, place me as a seal upon thine arm and heart. But what is it? Because it's strong as death love is. What is the mark? Love. For that husband, that is the mark. There's another mark. The mark is love and faithfulness, not just love. Because I'll be faithful unto death to that man. That is the mark. This place me as a mark of the love that you have towards me and the fidelity you have towards me. And place them in your heart and thine arm. That is the mark. There you have the mark of the beast. It's so clear right there. I could close today's subject since you already understood. I just explained it right there. The mark is the love and the faithfulness for Yahweh. So then it is the religion. The mark of the beast is the religion. Every religion that worships a God is an unbreakable love, a love unto death, It is a love that is not abandoned, not even for all the wealth in the world. Now we go back to Genesis. How he had started to violate Israel. He violated them in every way possible. One of his violations is this one. Genesis 17:11. Genesis 17:11. It's as follows. And ye shall circumcise, therefore, the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be as a sign of the covenant betwixt me and you. What? What mark? Circumcision. Circumcision. Mark. Look at what it says in the version in English, because the mark is the same one. Mark sign. This is Genesis 17:11 in the BBE, which means Bible in Basic English. BBE or English or BBE. Look at how this text says. It says, in the flesh of your private parts, you are to undergo it. In the flesh of your private parts, you will do it. As a mark of the agreement between me and you. As a mark of the agreement between me and you. So then what is the circumcision? It's a mark. Is the Jewish people marked by their God? Of course they're marked by their God. Of course. Absolutely marked. A physical mark. Marked. Violated so much. Not just in the flesh, but it's in the heart. Exodus 31:12 through 17. Exodus 31:12. Who always marks Yahweh? Exodus 31:12. Then Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbath shall ye keep. My days is not saying the Sabbath exclusively, it's my days of rest. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. How have we used this text when we were Adventists, saying, you see, the Sabbath is the sign. Yes, of course it's a sign. A negative one, but it's a sign nonetheless, a mark. For my days of rest, it wasn't referring to the Sabbath, Saturday, but rather all the feasts. For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh, the Lord that doth sanctify you. Oh, what a problem we have there. We want Yahweh to sanctify us, because this subject is very, very difficult to digest, because we no longer worship Yahweh. The least thing we want is for Yahweh to sanctify us. It doesn't matter what to sanctify means. We don't want Him to sanctify us. We want Him to leave. That is what we want. We don't worship Yahweh at all. That is when we take the mark off. Worship is the mark. Adoration. Moving on. That ye know that I am Yahweh that sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath day, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done. But in the seventh is the day of rest consecrated unto Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant, as a sign, a mark, It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. What is the Shabbat and all the rest of the Shabbats? It's a sign, it is a mark between Yahweh, which we know that it's Jesus, who knows the beast, and we know that there is the mark of the beast. So then, all of the feasts are a mark for the people of Israel. A sign or mark, it is always between me and the children of Israel, because, I love this, because in 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and the earth in 6 days. Good thing. 6 days are 6,000 years. For 6,000 years, the mark, it says I'm going to mark everyone for 6,000 years. 6 days. The 6 millennial days of creation. Yahweh is still creating. And on the 7th day, he ceased and rested. I love it. What did he do on the 7th day? He rested. He ceased his work. He stopped working. That is what we're waiting for. That Yahweh has yet to cease. Yahweh has yet to cease, but he will cease when we enter into the 7th millennium. Not just will he cease for 1,000 years, but for forever. Not just rest for us for 1,000 years, but we will rest of him forever. He may do whatever the fuck he wants. Whatever he wants. But what we, as this creation, this flat earth, and very expandable concerns, we don't want to know anything about Yahweh anymore. Ever again. In fact, we're going to place Yahweh as the creator into the lake of fire. So then, is everyone marked? We're all marked, one way or another. Exodus 13. New Living Translation. Exodus 13, 9 through 10, New Living Translation. This annual festival, talking about Pesach and unleavened bread, all the 3 feasts of Bikurim, this festival, very important, because for some reason we no longer celebrate Pesach as he says that we should celebrate it. We also don't celebrate the Shabbat as he says that we should celebrate it, because we do whatever the fuck we want in the Shabbat. We do whatever we want. Because what we do, we would be cut off from their fucking people or not. If we have to buy, we buy. And when somebody has to work, they work. And we use it as like unto a feast. Not for anything else, but to have fun. And if Boca plays, then it's a glorious Shabbat. If we win. If we win, it's a glorious Shabbat. So then we could give a fuck the recommendations or the commandment that he gave to Israel. So then it's not a mark. We're going to sanctify the Shabbat. No, in the Shabbat we'll do whatever the fuck we want. Let's go to a different group of people. Pesach and unleavened bread and Bikurim. Those feasts, they had to strictly eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. 8. Not just that. They had to sacrifice a lamb. They had to eliminate the leaven from your territory. Do we do that? No. All backwards. We have to celebrate Pesach. We're going to celebrate our way, because we no longer want your dog shit feast. What are we going to do in Pesach? Specifically the opposite. What did it say? We should not use leaven. We're going to use leaven. It says that we're going to eat that every day. How is Pesach celebrated? With lots of leaven. So then, notice well how we started to take these marks off of ourselves, for those who understand. This annual feast, which is Pesach and unleavened bread, will be a visible sign to you, as a mark, branded on your hand or your forehead. I can't believe that when I started to study the subject, I had not noticed this. It says that Pesach and to eat and eating unleavened bread, it's like a visible mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It would seem as if I'm reading Revelation 13. In the hand or forehead. Pesach, a visible sign engraved in the hand of the mark. We said, what does it mean? The forehead is what we believe. What does the hand mean? What we do, what they obligate us, or what blah blah blah. This is more than clear. To celebrate Pesach, or any of its variations, it is to have a mark in the forehead or in the hand. What is the mark? The mark of the beast. It is the mark of the beast. Have we had the mark? Yes, of course we've had it. Just like we have it, we also took it off of ourselves. It'll be unto you a visible sign, as an engraved sign in the hand or forehead, which will remind you to always recite this teaching of the Lord. What do we have to recite? That mark? With a strong hand, the Lord rescued you from Egypt. What a son of a fucking bitch. There's no other word. What a fucking son of a bitch. What a son of 1,000 bitches. Why? Because this guy wants you to record in your mind that he's the one that rescued you. Don't forget ever that I am your savior. Of course, he rescued Israel with a strong hand from Egypt. But he says, and doesn't say, and I killed them all in the desert, doesn't say that. And also, what's it say now to the Christians? I rescued you from the spiritual Egypt. Jesus rescued us from death. The fuck is Jesus going to rescue from death? Jesus didn't rescue anyone from death. No one. There's no one alive now by Jesus, nor ever will there be anyone living by Jesus, because Jesus no longer exists, and he never came to rescue anyone from death, nor anyone that believes in Jesus will be rescued from death. If the Messiah, with his true love, he will use his true love to look for those people that didn't look for him, and will say, you know what? Do you know why I'm the Messiah? Because you, without worshiping me ever, I came and I'll resurrect you. But this son of a bitch, he says, remember about Pesach that Yahweh, your husband that violates you on a permanent basis, brought you out with a strong hand from Egypt. Remember that always. With a strong hand, the Lord rescued you from Egypt. What a son of a bitch. He took him to Egypt. What, I mean, but I can't comprehend how the people eat these lies, and now we look and say, but even to repeat it, you son of a bitch, if you were the one that took him to Egypt, you produced a terrible hunger, and they had no other remedy than to go through Joseph, that sent them and their father Jacob to live in Egypt. He's a son of a bitch. There's no other word. But what? Remember well that with a strong hand the Lord rescued him from Egypt. Yeah, to kill him in the desert. Therefore, fulfill the decree of this festival every year on the appointed year. Yeah, we fulfilled it, but we do it however the fuck we want. We no longer do it for you, because we give it a different meaning. It is upon you. Things turn on you now. We don't thank you for everything and for anything. We start to celebrate the triumph upon you, Yahweh, upon you, beast, upon you. The triumph upon the beast. And the beast is Yahweh. So then all those who celebrate Pesach or its variations in the way that Yahweh says, they have a mark. They have it. Exodus 13. I'll read it in the entire panorama. That was a part, but I want to give you a context how brutal this mark is. I'll read the same thing, but in the whole context. Exodus 13, 1 through 16, New Living Translation says, Then the Lord, in other words Yahweh, said unto Moses, Dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites. All the firstborns, both of humans and of animals, belongs to me. Who the fuck are you to say belongs to you? That's part of the violations that God would do. It was a violation upon another. Then Moses said unto the Israelites, This is a day to remember forever. It is the day that they came out from Egypt where they were slaves. Why were they slaves? Because Yahweh had placed them under slavery there. Today, Yahweh has brought them with the strength of his powerful, mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day, in early spring, in the month of Aviv, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in this month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land that's stolen, just like they stole it again now, a stolen land, flowing with milk and honey, of, and the blood of the rest. During 7 days, you must prepare the bread without leaven. If up until today would celebrate Pesach still without leaven, right now, I would tell you, I'll never again celebrate Pesach. That's why I told you that this is a subject about maturity. In the measure that we are born in this quote-unquote insanity, of course, things fall into place. Things start to fall into place. And we now say, yes, of course. We no longer celebrate Pesach because it is a mark. I don't want to have any mark of Yahweh's. Just like that, I want to have any mark of Yahweh's. There is where we start to understand many things that will get to your mind and the things that you will see that it says. During 7 days, you will have to prepare your bread without leaven. So then the 7th day, you will celebrate a feast unto the Lord. In those 7 days, eat unleavened bread. Therefore, during that period, there shouldn't be any leavened bread nor any trace of leaven within your territory. The 7th day, you must explain to your children, I am celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. Oh, thank you, violator, thank you. This festival, this is what I read on, this festival, annual feast, will be a visible sign to you like a mark. Everything that I just read, like a mark, branded on your hand or on your forehead. Let it remind you always to recite this teaching to the Lord. With a strong hand, the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year. Therefore, this is what you must do when the Lord fulfills the promise He swore to you and to your ancestors. When the Lord Yahweh fulfills this promise, this is what you must do. On the day that He gives you the land where the Canaanites live. Oh, poor Canaanites. People live there? Yes. How long have they been living there? They're still living there for centuries. But Yahweh says, but it's mine, it's yours. Go and kill them all. Kill them. Where the milk and honey and sugar and blood flows. Since he's an unmerciful beast, I have to do it little by little. I subjugate them, violate them, kidnap them, and kill them. That is how I form a beast, that when it comes to maturity, it'll be a great beast. That's what was achieved. That's exactly what it was achieved. You must present unto the Lord all firstborn male and also of the animals, for they belong to Him. Wow, they belong to Him. The first male son. A firstborn donkey. Oh, here's donkey. Where was I? A firstborn donkey may be bought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. What? Wow, I mean, God of love. No, He's a monster. sadistic, an assassinator, and a violator. If you have a donkey, you have to bring it, or else you can rescue it. But if you don't have enough, then in front of me you have to break its neck. It's not yours, it's mine. Since I want it, I like it dead. And then my priests are not gonna eat it either. So then I'm not gonna give it to you. It's mine. You break its neck. They're like, what? No, donkey, careful. That son of a bitch does not rule here. We rule here. You don't want to pay for that rescue. You can have all the children you want. Donkey was worried. Where were we here? Okay. To break its neck. However, you have the obligation of paying for every firstborn. Good thing, the obligation of paying, or else you have to break their neck too. With the male children, there's no other option than to pay. It says, yeah, you have the obligation of paying the ransom for every firstborn son. That's why I've always told you that this is actually, where is this dog shit? Oh, wait, no, donkey. Let me fix you. I moved you from where you were. There you are. This dog shit is complete dog shit. It's not anything. It is a perverse book in which I can read the story, the prophecies, but I'm still seeing its perversity of the monster creator we have in this book. The Torah is dog shit, actually. It is no tree of life. It's a poisonous book. That's why it is the manual of the beast. It says, yet they have the obligation of paying every first son. In the future, the children will ask, what does all this mean? And you will tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, where we were slaves. Tell them you were slaves. Don't tell them that I enslaved you. No, don't tell them that. Pharaoh stubbornly refused. Why was he stubbornly refused? Why did he stubbornly refuse? Because he would say, and Yahweh would harden the heart of Pharaoh. What a son of a bitch. I read this and I say, but not every time I read the Torah, I see that you're more of a son of a bitch of what I ever thought you were. You're a despot, a monster, a dog shit, and I want for Yahweh, for you to leave and to never come back. You have to first come and give the plains of everything, your blueprints, or else your creation goes to dog shit. It's clear as day. If you want to destroy us all, then destroy us all. You're going to do whatever you want either way. But of the pleasure, even though I die and never resurrect again, the pleasure of being able to say this and not to worship the beast. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go. Then Yahweh killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord. Wow! I mean, it is insanity. But we always pay for the ransom for the firstborn sons. That is the reason. Now I get it. Why did they have to be given the firstborn? Because he killed the firstborn to the Egyptians. Brutal. This God really is repugnant. Completely repugnant. At least I find it so. The other groups, they love him. They have such love that is stronger than death itself. That no sea can drown, that cannot be bought. For me, he's repugnant. 16. This ceremony, which one? All Pesach and all the dog shit that I read. This ceremony will be like a mark, branded on your hand or your forehead. Wow, he reads it again. This ceremony entirely will serve as a mark engraved in the hand or in the forehead. It is a reminder that the Lord Yahweh brought us out of the land of Egypt with the strength of his powerful arm. Wow, absolutely incredible. We always had it there, and we never compared this text with Revelation 13 that reads exactly the same thing, a mark in the hand or in the forehead. But also, we never related this ever. If some of you related this ever, tell me, and I think I'm going to call you a liar. Don't tell me, I won't believe you. I won't believe you. Never ever have I seen for anyone to link these two texts. Okay, time is it? It's 13:11. How long have I been speaking? How long have I been speaking? An hour and 34. An hour and 34. I'm sweating, it's so hot. We have the AC on. Okay. So then, summing up, the mark of the beast. The beast is a puppet of Yahweh. It's always the same thing. Yahweh marked, Jesus marked, the beast that represents both, or it's of the two. It's of the two that's the same person. Also marks. In conclusion, what is the mark of the beast? It is the religion, because Yahweh was the beast of Israel. Jesus is the beast of Christianity. So then, the mark of the beast is the love for God. That is the mark of the beast. And reading it to you in the Bible, it's not that I had a dream last night and an angel told me, Christian, the mark of the beast. No, I'm reading it to you. For God, the Creator, a mark is a symbol of worship. Worship. To fulfill certain things, to love, place me as a mark upon thine heart. Place me as a mark upon thy chest or arm. I have a mark. He placed a mark. The mark is the Boca Juniors. Why? Because I love this club, and I don't care to have a sign of this club. I could care less. It's not my God, the club. It's like my son. So I have a mark. I do have a mark. And here I have another one that says Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Why? Because it's a mark that says, good thing that there's only one son of a bitch and not more than one, just one. Hear well, all people, we have one son of a bitch, but it's only one. It's not two, not three, it's only one. So then I do have that mark. I have that mark. That's why the marks are so important. When one buys something of a special mark, they want the mark to be seen and saying, this is, I don't know, Adidas. Oh no, this is Nike. This is here, this is there. They want a Mercedes-Benz, they want the symbol to be seen, the mark. Because I care for the people to identify whom it belongs to. Well, the mark of Christianity is called Jesus. And it is the love for Jesus. And they are marked, and it is the mark of the beast. It is Yahweh and all of their Torah, and they're marked to the bone, that of the Muslims and of Allah. It is precisely all of their book and all of their Muslim religion. Every religion has a marker, which is their mark. Moving on with the marks. There is a text that we have studied a lot. Either this text is a lie, a threat, so that we are faithful, or whoever reads this is faithful to God, and it is part of the cover, because we know that God, it's not that He lies. God, the Creator, is the father of lies. It's not that He lies, He's the origin of lies. He was the one that invented the lies. He was a liar from the very beginning, of course. So then this text that I'm about to read, either it's one of its lies to threaten, to scare, to for you to not rebel, to torment you. He loves that. Or, actually, what is being said here is what's being said in Revelation chapter 7, which could perfectly well be. Doesn't matter to me if it's either a lie to scare us, or if it's being said that that God that speaks is not God the Creator. I'll read it now. A text that we've read many times that's so well known. It's Ezekiel chapter 9. It talks about a mark. And it is precisely a mark, but it's backwards. Ezekiel 9:1, and I'll read it. And which one? In the New Living Translation. I think it's the New Living Translation. I believe so. Then the Lord said, then Yahweh said, with a thunderous voice, bring on the men appointed to punch the city. Tell them to bring their weapons with them. 6 men soon appeared from the upper gate that faces north, each carrying a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man dressed in linen, who carried a writer's case at his side. They all went into the temple courtyard and stood beside the bronze altar. Then the glory of the God of Israel rose up from between the cherubim where it had rested and moved to the entrance of the temple, and the Lord called the man dressed in linen who was carrying the writer's case. He said to him, walk through the streets of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of all who weep and sigh because of the detestable sins being committed in the city. Here comes a mark for those who weep and sigh because of the fish, not the fish, but the sins, detestable sins being committed in the city. If the one that gives the command is Yahweh the Creator, then this is the mark of the beast also. I'll tell it to you like that. If this is the one that calls the scribe is Yahweh the Creator, God is not the one that will give the command of saving anyone or anything. No, it no longer belongs to him because of what is written in all the rest of the prophecies. So then I want you to understand, if you still believe in a God that will come and save a group, it isn't so. He transfers the power unto someone, and that group becomes the new God of the earth. That's the way it is. He calls it the Son of Man, then the Son of Man completely seals a group, and that's it, it's over. And then he retires. That's it, it's over. So then, this prophecy is either an absolute story, or it is a part of the prophecy of the beast. Which could also be, if I accommodate it to be that God is not God, but it's the new God, it could work that way, but I don't like it, could not work that way. Okay, I'll continue to read this dog shit prophecy. It says, I heard, then the Lord said unto the rest of the men, follow him through the city and kill everyone whose forehead is not marked. For me, to the contrary, a lying prophecy, but oh well. I'll read on. Just kill everyone whose forehead is not marked. Show no mercy. Have no pity. Kill them all. Old, young, girls, and women, and little children. How's a child going to have either a mark or not? That's crazy. But do not touch anyone with the mark. Begin right here at the temple. So they began by killing the 70 leaders. Imagine. They started by killing the 70 leaders in this vision, right? Not even the parrot is left. Defile the temple, the Lord commanded. Fill its courtyards with corpses. Cute. God is. Go. So they went and began killing throughout the city. While they were out killing, I was all alone. I fell face down on the ground and cried out, "O sovereign Lord," sovereign son of a bitch, actually. "O sovereign Lord, will your fury against Jerusalem wipe out everyone left in Israel?" Then he answered me, "The sins of the people of Israel and Judah are very, very great. The entire land is full of murder. The city is filled with injustice." They're saying, "The Lord doesn't see it. The Lord has abandoned the land. So I will not spare them or have any pity on them. I will fully repay them for all they have done." Then the man in linen clothing who carried the writer's case reported back and said, "I have done as you commanded." So then if he came back quickly, it's because he almost didn't seal much. It would have taken him a long time. No, he just came back. He says, "I'm done." They should have asked him, "How many did you seal?" No, no one. So then go and kill anyone. What do we do with this prophecy? We used to believe it before and said we wanted to be one of those sealed. Seal us, Lord, so that we're not exterminated. No. God should not have any more authority. He has power, but he should not have any more authority to exterminate anyone, because this earth will no longer belong to him. This earth transfers over as inheritance to a group of people, so then he has no right to exterminate anyone. And even more with the little years that are left. He's already had fun exterminating in the great flood. He did what he wanted, the cities of those that we don't know of, the massacres that he must have done. So then this prophecy, what do we do with this prophecy? This prophecy is left per se pending to a better interpretation, because that Yahweh is not Yahweh. If that's Yahweh, it's a lie. But let us go to Revelation now. Let's go to Revelation. But I'll remind you of something. That the book of Revelation is a unique book. I have to remind you every time I read the book of Revelation, because one forgets. So then, the beginning of Revelation 1:1 says, the revelation, which would mean to reveal of Jesus Christ, of the Mashiach, which God gave him. What is the revelation? It is the message which was hidden, that the Messiah did not have, which God gave him. Okay. The book of Revelation is a message that is only given of God, this monster creator, to the one that will inherit the earth, which he calls the Son, the Messiah, the Son of Man. So then, if we understand this principle, the revelation of the Messiah, which God gave him, to manifest unto his servants the events that must take place soon. I want you to understand exactly what this says. I want you to understand it without anyone misunderstanding. They used to call servants before. Servants are actually a word that is no longer used. Servants are has to do with slaves, servitude, things that humans have been getting rid of. The disasters that humans have done, they used to use that back then. Now it would be like, per se, associates. Associates. So then if I change servants to associates, it would read as follows. The revelation from Jesus Christ of the Messiah, which God gave him to show his associates the events that must be taking place soon. Who are the associates? And why associates? Because they will become the Messiah, but once this is given, right now they're not. That's why I've already told you that the one that speaks that spirit in Revelation unto the 7 churches, which are the associates, until the time comes in which those associates become a part of the Messiah, but for now they're not. But for now, the information is received by me, which I am the Spirit, in which they might say, since I'm preparing you the Messiah, for now, until the whole world becomes the real Messiah, the revelation of the Messiah or of the Spirit, you could say it, so you understand it, which God gave him to manifest to his associates the things which must take place soon. And it was declared by God. In other versions, it says by Jesus, nothing to do with the fact. It was declared by God. How? Because the Messiah would come a long time later, 2,000 years later. God declared it. How? It explains here how. That revelation to the Messiah, and God declared it by sending it unto the Messiah by means of his angel, whatever angel or messenger, to his servant John. That's the way it was. That's the way it was. So then I explained this text in the most clear way possible. The book of Revelation is the book of the revelation in which God has a message for the Messiah, which was written by the prophet John, so that when the Messiah reads, 2,000 years later, when the Messiah exists, to communicate it to the associates of the Messiah, which will make up the entire group of the Messiah. That is what the text says. It's so clear. You can read it a million times over. If you didn't understand it, read it in all versions that there's ever been. And you'll understand that the book of Revelation means revelation that the Messiah receives on behalf of God through John. John is the writer, the receiver is the Messiah, and the one that sends this information or this revelation is God. So then, the book of Revelation is a letter that is directed to the Messiah only. Only. The Bibles are there because God made sure that it would get to the Messiah 2,000 years later. The whole world reads it and interprets it thinking it's for them and it's not for them. That's why every mark that the interpreters of the Revelation have said is wrong. Every single one, every interpretation that an interpreter of Revelation makes is wrong because it's not for him. Because it is concealed. It's a hidden message given to only one sole person. It might seem insane, so that person gives it to a group that's tiny. That's the way it says. This is the revelation of the Messiah which God gave him to manifest unto his associates the things that should take place soon. Not even for the whole world. No. And even less for the whole world, it's only for the Messiah, so that the Messiah may read it, and that Messiah would manifest unto those associates the things that will take place soon. Not even the associates have the capacity of reading for themselves this book. That's what it says. Because if the associates had the capacity of reading the revelation by themselves, they don't need for anyone to interpret it for them. But here it says the order of things. This information is given from God to the Messiah, so that the Messiah
la lea
may read it
y se las
and manifest it
manifieste a un grupo de
to a
socios.
group of associates.
Y todo esto fue
And
escrito
this was all
por
written by
Juan,
John,
para que le llegue al Mesías,
so that it gets to
para
the
que el
Messiah,
Mesías
so
lo
that the
lee
Messiah can read it,
y se las
and he
interprete a
interprets
sus
it
socios.
to
Para
his
que esos socios
associates, so that they
entiendan las
understand
cosas
the
que van a
things that will
suceder.
take place.
Los socios
The
necesitan
associates need
a este lector,
this reader,
a este espíritu,
this spirit,
porque no podrían
or
entender.
else they could not
Son
understand it.
parte del
They're
Mesías,
part
pero
of the
no
Messiah,
pueden
but they can't
entenderlo por
understand
ellos
it by
mismos.
themselves.
Por eso esta es la regla.
That's why this is
Esta
the
es la
rule, this is the
revelación del
revelation
Mesías que Dios le
of
dio
the Messiah which
para
God gave him
manifestar
to
a sus
manifest
socios
it
las
to his
cosas que deben
associates, the
suceder
things that meant
pronto. ¿Y por qué
to take
pronto?
place
Si
soon.
esto pasó hace
Why
2000
soon?
años. Porque
This
este
happened
libro, cuando
2,000
él
years
iba a
ago because
leer,
this book,
iba
when
a
he was going to
suceder
read it,
pronto.
would happen soon.
Si este libro es
If
para
this
el
book is for
Mesías,
the
y el Mesías
Messiah,
se levanta en el
the Messiah
último
rises in
momento de
the
los tiempos,
last
es que las
of
cosas
times,
iban
is
a
that the things
suceder
would happen
pronto.
soon.
No es de hace 2000
It's
años
not about
atrás.
2,000
Seguí
years
leyendo
ago.
hace 2000
It's
años
been
atrás, pero no fue
read since
escrito para
2,000
2000
years
años
ago,
atrás,
but it
ni
was
1000
not
años
written
atrás,
for
ni 500 años
not
atrás. Fue escrito
1,000
para el
years,
Mesías.
500 years,
Y el
100 years
Mesías
ago. It
tiene
was
que
written for the
leerlo
Messiah, and the
y
Messiah
tiene
has
que
to read it and
interpretarlo
has to interpret it
a sus
unto his
socios,
associates,
manifestarlo
manifest it
a sus
unto his
socios.
associates.
El
The
resto,
rest,
nadie lo puede
no one can
entender.
understand it.
Y si tú crees que lo puedes
And if you
entender
think you
solo
can
porque
understand
tú
it by yourself, because you
eres
are
capaz de
able to
entenderlo
understand it
solo,
alone,
entonces tú estás
then
diciendo
what you're
que
saying
tú
is that
eres
you are
ese
that
Mashiach.
Mashiach,
Y vas a tener
and you'll have
socios
associates
que te van a
that
escuchar.
will listen to you.
Eso
That's
te
what
dice.
you're saying.
Si tú te crees
If you
con la
think
capacidad
that
de
you have the
entender
capacity of
libro
understanding
por
this
ti
book by
solo,
yourself,
entonces el
then
libro
the
fue
book was
escrito
written for you,
y tienes que
and
buscarte
you have to look for
socios
associates
que les des y les
that you
comuniques las cosas que
communicate
van a
to
suceder.
them the things that will happen.
Entonces,
So then,
entendiendo
having
para quién fue
understood
escrito Apocalipsis,
for whom Revelation was
todas las
written, all the
interpretaciones que dé
interpretations
el
that the
mundo,
world
ya
gives,
sabemos que están
we know that
equivocadas.
they're
Ya
wrong.
las tengo que
I have to
descartar como
discard them
mal.
all as wrong.
El día
The Sunday,
domingo,
wrong.
mal. Las
The
vacunas,
Popes,
no solamente lo dijimos
not
nosotros,
just
lo
we
dijeron una
said it, a
cantidad
whole
de
bunch of
grupos
group
terraplanistas
flat
y todo.
earthers said
Dijeron,
it. They
"Esto
said,
es
this is
la
the
marca,
mark.
es mal entonces,
That's
ya una
wrong.
vez mal,
It's wrong.
ya
It's
está,
wrong.
la tengo que descartar.
I have to
Sí, es
discard
parte
it.
de,
It is
pero
part
no
of,
es la
then it's
marca.
not the mark of the beast.
Entonces ya
So then already,
hoy descarto esas
today I
inyecciones
discard
como
those
la
popes
marca,
as
no
the
son la
mark.
marca.
They're not the mark.
No son la marca porque nadie
Because
se
no
debió
one
haber
should
dado
have
cuenta,
noticed,
porque si no todo el
or
mundo
else
es
the
el
whole
Mesías
world
para
is the
leer este
Messiah
libro.
to have read this book.
Entonces,
So then,
el domingo está
the
mal,
Sunday's
no
wrong,
existe.
doesn't exist.
Un chip
A chip
no
is
es.
not.
Un código de
A
barra
barcode
no
is
es.
not.
Una vacuna
A shot
no
is
es.
not.
La inteligencia
The
artificial
AI
no
is not.
Porque eso es
Because
interpretación
that is
de la
interpretation
gente
of the
que
people
lee
that
esto.
reads this.
Nadie debería ser
No one
capaz de
should be able to
interpretar
interpret
cuál
what
es
is
la
the
marca
mark
de
of
la
the
bestia,
beast,
sino al que
but
fue
rather
escrito este
to
libro,
whom this
aunque
book was
parezca
written,
demasiado
although it would
ambicioso
seem
lo que
way
estoy
too
diciendo.
ambitious what I'm saying.
Pero así funciona.
That's the way it works.
Entonces,
So then,
lo que yo
what
enseñé
I
hoy
taught today
es
is
la
the
adoración
worship
a un Dios,
towards a God, Yahweh,
Jesús,
Jesus,
o Alá.
or Allah.
Eso no lo vas a
You will
encontrar
not
en
find
ningún
it
lado,
anywhere
porque la
because the
bestia
beast
es
is
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Entonces nadie
So then
podía
no
ni
one
siquiera
could even
imaginarse esa
imagine that
interpretación
interpretation
porque
because
el libro no fue
the book
escrito
was
para
not
ellos.
written for them.
Apocalipsis 7,
Revelation
1 al 4.
7, 1 through 4.
Después de esto vi a cuatro
And
ángeles
after
en
this
pie
I
sobre
saw
los cuatro
four
ángulos de la
angels
tierra,
standing
que detenían
on
los
the four
cuatro vientos
corners
de la
of the
tierra
earth,
para que no soplase viento alguno sobre la
holding
tierra,
back
ni
the four
sobre el
winds so
mar,
they did not
ni
blow
sobre
on the
ningún
earth
árbol.
or the sea or
Vi
any
también
tree.
otro ángel que
And I saw
subía de
another
donde
angel
sale
come
el
up
sol
from
y
the
tenía el
east carrying the
sello
seal
del
of the
Dios
living
vivo.
God.
Acá empezamos.
Here we begin.
Acuérdense
Remember
que
that
aún Apocalipsis,
even
que es
Revelation,
un
which
libro
is a book
dirigido para el Mesías
directed for the
solamente,
Messiah only,
así
that
todo
no,
tenía que estar
it had to be
ultra
ultra
cubierto.
covered.
Porque encima
Because to top it off,
el resto de la
the
Biblia
rest of the
lo
Bible,
pueden leer, no lo van a interpretar,
they
pero lo
can
pueden leer.
read it,
Pero este libro,
but this book,
específicamente
specifically this book,
fue escrito para
was written
el
for the
Mesías,
Messiah,
nadie
no
más,
one else.
porque lo dice.
Because it says so.
Esto es la sabiduría
This
que
is
Dios
the
le da al
wisdom which
Mesías
God gives the
a través
Messiah
del profeta Juan,
through
para
the
que el
prophet
Mesías lo
John,
dé a
so that the
conocer a sus
Messiah
socios.
lets his
Entonces,
associates
este
know.
libro, ¿para qué es? Es una sabiduría
What's that book
para el
for? It's a
Mesías,
wisdom for the Messiah,
que está escrita
which
por
is
el
written
profeta
by the
Juan,
prophet
para
John,
que él
so that
se la dé a
he
conocer
would
a sus
allow his
socios.
associates to know.
Este libro está escrito
This
para una
book is
persona,
written
nada
for one
más.
person, no one else.
Todos aquellos
All
que lo
those who
lean
read it
tienen que sacar
have to draw
una
an interpretation that is incorrect.
para lograr eso,
And to achieve
por
that,
supuesto
of
que
course,
está
it is
absolutamente
absolutely
cubierto con toda
concealed
clase de
by all
símbolos,
types
números,
of symbols, numbers,
que la gente
and
iba a
that the people
interpretar
would interpret
mal.
wrong.
Si hay un libro
If
escondido
there's
en la
a
Biblia,
hidden
es
book, it is this one.
este es el más
This is the
escondido
most
de
hidden
todos.
book
Yo
of them
leo la
all.
Torá
I read
y
the
hasta
Torah, it's
cuando
not hidden.
Yahweh dice que es un hijo.
Yahweh says that
Mátate
he's
a
a
mi
son
hijo,
of a
mátate
bitch.
a
Kill
mi hijo,
this,
mátate
kill
a
the
aquí,
children,
esto.
do this, violate that.
El tipo es un hijo
The
de
guy's a
puta.
son of a
Pero
bitch.
en este
But in
libro,
this book,
este libro está
this
más
book
que
is more than
escondido.
hidden.
Está cubierto,
It is
recontra
covered,
cubierto, con
completely
7
covered with
sellos
7
cubiertos.
seals.
Es, por así decirlo,
It is per
ese
se,
libro que tiene 7 sellos.
it is the book
Que
that has 7
solamente
seals,
no hay
which
nadie
only
en la
there's no
tierra
one
que
on
lo
earth
pueda
that can
abrir,
open it,
excepto
except
lo que
for
ellos
what they
llaman,
call,
con otro nombre,
with
el
a
cordero.
different name, the Lamb.
Y por eso
That's
Juan
why
dice, ¿quién va
John
a
said,
abrir
who
esto?
will open
¿Quién lo va
this?
a
Who
abrir?
will open this?
Ese
That
libro
book
es el
is
Apocalipsis
the
en sí,
Revelation itself,
con 7
with 7
sellos.
seals.
Ya no
It's
está
no
cubierto,
longer
está
covered, it
sellado
is
por todos
sealed
lados.
everywhere.
Y por eso él dice,
And
yo
that's why he
lloraba
says, and
mucho,
I
decía,
cried a lot,
¿quién?
and I said,
No hay
who?
nadie, no se
There's
encontró
no one,
nadie,
no
ni
one was
abajo del
found, not
cielo, ni
below
arriba
heaven,
del
nor above
cielo,
heaven,
capaz de abrir
capable of opening
este
this
libro,
book,
capaz de entender
able
este
to
libro.
understand this book
Pero
even.
había uno, dice, sí,
But there was one that said,
que
yeah,
fue
this one,
para
it
él.
was for him.
¿Y quién es el que
Who was
capaz
the
de
one able
abrirlo?
to open
El
it? The
Cordero.
Lamb.
Porque ese libro
Because it is
está
that book,
dirigido hacia el
it is
Cordero.
directed towards
¿Ustedes
the
entienden
Lamb.
lo que acabo de decir?
If you understand what I just said,
Entonces,
then
van a
you
entender
will
lo que
understand
sigue.
what follows.
Que este libro,
That this
que
book,
estas profecías,
that this prophecy,
yo se las voy a dar a
I
entender
will
como realmente son.
let you
No
understand
lo
them
que
the way
dice.
they really are, not exactly what it says.
Porque está todo
Because
sellado
it's
con
all
7
sealed
sellos.
with 7
Vi también
seals.
otro ángel que
And I
subía
saw
de
another
donde
angel
estaba el
coming
sol
up
y
from
tenía
the
el sello
east
del
carrying
Dios
the
vivo.
seal of the
El
living
sello
God.
del
The
Dios
seal
vivo
of the
no es el
living
sello
God is
del
not
Dios
the
creador.
seal
El
of
Dios
God the
vivo es el
Creator.
Dios
The living
realmente
God is
que va a
actually
vivir por siempre.
the God that would
Es el
live forever.
nuevo
It's the new God.
Por eso dice el Dios
That's why it
vivo.
says the living God.
El Dios
The
vivo.
living God.
Que quizás en otro momento estuvo
Because
muerto.
maybe he was
O no
dead in a
existía
different
ya.
time or didn't exist. Either way.
Y clamó a gran
And he
voz a los
shouted to
4
those
ángeles a
4
quienes se le había
angels
dado poder
who
de
had
hacer
been
daño
given
a la
power to
tierra y al
harm
mar,
the
diciendo,
land
no
and
hagáis
sea,
daño
saying,
a la
wait,
tierra, ni
don't
al mar,
harm
ni
the
a los
land or the
árboles,
sea or
hasta
the
que
trees
hayamos
until we
sellado
have
en sus
placed the
frentes a
seal
los
of God
siervos de nuestro
on the
Dios.
foreheads of his
Y los
servants.
siervos de nuestro
And,
Dios no es el Dios
and
creador,
that's
sino
not
del
God the
Dios
Creator,
vivo,
but the living
del Dios
God,
nuevo,
the new God,
el
the
Mesías,
Messiah,
por así
per
decirlo.
se.
Entonces, ese
So then
sellamiento
that
de
sealing of
Ezequiel
Ezekiel
9
9
quizás
maybe
es lo mismo
is
que
the
esto,
same
pero
as
no me
this,
gusta
but I don't
la
like
segunda
the
parte que
second
dice
part where it says
maten,
kill,
maten,
kill,
maten.
kill.
Eso es lo que no me gusta.
That's the part that I don't like.
Entonces,
So then,
estos 144,000
these 144,000,
que son los
which are
siervos
the
o los
servants or the
socios,
associates,
quizá este siervo va
maybe
mejor
this
porque
servant
son
is better because they are
personas
people
que quizá no están hoy
that
ahora,
maybe they're not here today,
vienen
they
después.
come later.
Por eso dice,
That's what it says.
no hagáis daño a la
Do not
tierra,
harm
ni al
the
mar,
earth
ni a los
or
árboles,
the
hasta que
sea
hayamos
or the trees
sellado
until
en
we
sus
have sealed
frentes
in their
a los
foreheads
siervos de nuestro
the
Dios.
servants of our God.
Esto es un
This is
simbolismo, no va a
symbolism.
haber
There
un
won't be a
sello,
seal,
sino
but
una
rather
elección.
an election.
Y oí el número de los
And I
sellados,
heard the book of
144,000
the
sellados,
sealed,
ya.
144,000 sealed. That's
Ese
it.
para
That
perder
is
a
to
todo el mundo.
lose everyone.
144,000.
144,000.
El número es
The
irrelevante.
number is
Es
irrelevant.
parte
It's
del
part of the
sello,
seal.
no importa,
Doesn't
no
matter. We
sabemos
don't know
el
the
número.
number.
Es
It's irrelevant.
irrelevante,
I don't care.
Así
Just
que
like
no
that, I don't
importa
care
el
the
número.
about the number. So
Entonces,
then,
ese es un
that is a
sellamiento.
sealing.
En realidad es
Actually,
una
it's a
selección
selection,
que va a venir en
which
el
will come
tiempo
in the
adecuado.
adequate time.
Apocalipsis
Revelation
13,
13,
16 al 18, que está
16
justamente
through 18,
el texto de
which is precisely in the text of the
y hacía
invitation.
que a todos, ¿a cuánto?
He required
A todos.
everyone.
Así
How
que
many
del
everyone?
sello
So then of the
y la
seal
marca
of the
de la
mark of the
bestia
beast
no ha
has
existido
not
persona que
existed
no
a
haya
person that
vivido
has not
con la
lived with the
marca
mark of the
bestia.
beast.
Estamos
We're all
todos
marked.
marcados. Y hacía que a
And he
todos,
required
pequeños
everyone,
y
small
grandes,
and great,
ricos y
rich and
pobres,
poor, free and
libres y
slave,
esclavos,
to
les
be
pusieron
given
una
a mark
marca en la
on the
mano
right
derecha
hand
o en
or
la
on the
frente.
forehead.
Esa
That
marca
mark
en la mano
in the right
derecha
hand
o
or
en
on
la
the
frente
forehead
se las puso
was
Yahweh
placed by
desde el
Yahweh
mismo
from the very
momento que
moment in which
creó
he
a
created
Adán y
Adam and Eve,
y después a
and then
través de
through the
las
religions.
y que ninguno pudiese comprar ni vender y acá
And
viene
no one
esto
could
para
buy
la
or sell.
locura
This is
de
for
la
the
persona
insanity of the people.
que si
Oh,
ves,
you see,
no
they
pueden
can't
ni
even
comprar
buy or
ni
sell
vender, sino el que tuviese la
without
marca
the
o el
mark,
número de
which
la
was
bestia
the name
o
of
el
the
número de
beast
su
number
nombre. No se
representing
puede
his name.
vivir
You
casi en
can't live
este
in this
mundo
world
si
if
uno no
you do
pertenece
not
a
belong
alguna
to a
religión.
religion.
Porque no te
Because
acepta la
society won't
religión. Eso es
accept
lo
you.
único
That
que
is
está
what it's
diciendo.
saying.
No puedes
You can't
vivir
live
marginado de
marginated
todos. Así es.
from it, cut off from the whole world. You can't.
Aquí hay
There is
sabiduría.
wisdom here. Let one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, his number is 666. It is absolutely irrelevant to make you waste time, the number and all that. It's part of the cover. What does it say about this text? This text says that the beast marks, but not just the last beast. I've always shown you already the mark of the beast, that is Yahweh. So then what do we draw of this text? You cannot analyze it word by word because it is concealed. And because it is precisely to throw off everybody. Revelation 14:1-20. Then I saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000. Here we can identify a little bit more the living God. The living God was the Lamb. Why? Because there was with him those who had supposedly been sealed, which is not the number, it's not the Lamb. It is an image that it's only so that you know that the one speaking, the Messiah, chooses a group, and that group is with him. No one else. It's the only thing that's important. That had his name, and his father's name doesn't say that. It says his father's name, and his father was not Yahweh the Creator, but rather the Lamb, his spiritual father, written on their foreheads. In other words, no one places a name here on their forehead, but they did have something written, like if I could assure you in the brain, like the eternal truth. I am of the eternal truth. That is what they had written in their foreheads. And they hated the religions, Yahweh, and everything that is Judaism, Christianity, and all the rest of the religions. And I heard a voice from heaven like the roar of mighty ocean waves, or the rolling of loud thunder. And the voice that I heard, it was of many harpists playing together. The great choir sang a wonderful new song in front of the throne of God and before the four living beings and blah, blah, blah. No one could learn the song except those 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. They have kept themselves as pure as virgins. This is the key. That out of 100, every 100 words, that's 2 or 3 words that's interesting in Revelation. The rest is trash. Cover. This group that is with the Lamb, the living God, the new God, the Argentum God. It says, these are they who did not defile themselves with women. It's not that they did not defile themselves with women, but it is that they abandoned all those women. Those women are the religions. They were a part of, and they abandoned them. That's why do not pay attention that it says that they are virgins. There's no human being that has been born, has not been made of any religion. No one can live neutral, free of religions until the older. No, it's impossible. It is impossible. Precisely those are not the ones that we're looking for. Because if they don't believe in a God, how can they believe that God is a great son of a bitch and that they will receive the earth? They can't do anything. If you have an atheist by birth, sons of atheists, a grandchildren of atheists, it's no good for this. Because he doesn't have that prophecy that God, that Creator, will give to them. No, you need a God that believes in God, but understands who God is. That is the greatest son of a bitch. To understand it and to not worship Him, but that believes that God exists and that believes that God is looking for, or is preparing, or prepared in the best way possible, or that designed a type of people to hand him over the power. And for him to lead, you have to understand it. An atheist does not understand that. The atheists are not good for this position. And no other religion is good for this position because they are worshippers. And precisely, they should not be worshippers. These are they who did not defile themselves with women, for they are virgins. Of course, of churches they became virgins. These are they who follow. Whom do they follow? They follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. They have one characteristic: they don't follow God. Evidently, those that are marked follow God. Any version that you have to follow God.
Estos son los que siguen
These
al
are they who
Cordero, y
follow
el
the Lamb,
Cordero no es
and
Jesús
the
de
Lamb
hace
is
2000
not
años
Jesus
atrás.
of
Los cristianos
2000
creen
years
que el
ago.
Cordero es Jesús. Y
It is
ellos
Jesus,
siguen
and they
al
follow the little
Corderito.
lamb.
No siguen
They
a
don't
ese,
follow,
ese no es el
that's not the
Cordero.
lamb.
Ese Cordero está muerto,
That
no
lamb is
existe más.
dead. He no
No va a
longer
existir
exists. He will
nunca
no
más.
longer exist.
Porque dejó de
Because he
ser.
no longer
Pasó a ser
exists.
Yahweh.
He went back to being Yahweh.
Entonces, ¿de qué
So then
Cordero
what lamb are they speaking of?
hablan?
They speak
De la
of
verdad.
the eternal truth.
Estos son los
These
que
are they
siguen
who
al
follow the
Cordero,
Lamb,
que va a
which
ser
will
el
be the
Mesías,
Messiah,
por donde quiera que
whithersoever
va.
he
No
goeth.
importa
No
qué
matter
atajo,
what
calle
shortcut
tome, lo siguen
cut
al
they
Cordero.
take, they
Esos
follow the Lamb. Those
144,000
144,000,
siguen al
they follow the
Cordero.
Lamb.
No se siguen
They
a
don't
ellos
follow
mismos.
themselves. They
Siguen al
follow the
Cordero.
Lamb.
Y no
And it
importa
doesn't
por dónde
matter
va.
whithersoever he
Ellos
goeth.
fueron
They were
redimidos, en realidad
redeemed,
dice
actually it says
comprados,
bought,
de entre los
from
hombres como
amongst men as
primicias
first
para
fruits for
Dios y
God
para el
and for the
Cordero.
Lamb.
Ese Dios
That
se
God
va y son
is
solamente
out
para
of
el
here,
Cordero,
and they're only
porque
for the
Dios
Lamb,
se
because God
retira.
retires.
Y en sus
And in their
bocas
mouths
no
was found
fue
no
hallada
guile,
mentira, pues son
for they are
sin
without
mancha
fault
delante
before
del
the throne
trono
of
de
God.
Dios.
Exactly.
Exactamente. Estos son los
These are the
únicos
only
que no
ones that
tienen
have no
mentira.
lies.
No es
It's
que
not
ellos
that
no
they
dicen
don't
ni
say
han
or have
dicho
ever said
mentira.
lies.
La
The
mentira
lie
es
is
Dios.
God.
Esa es
That's
la
the
mentira.
lie.
Dios
God, the
Salvador.
Savior.
Dios
God
no salva a
doesn't
nadie.
save anyone.
Y ahora voy a
And now
decir
I'm going to
algo
say something
brutal.
brutal. 6. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel. Just like Pastor Hugo Gambetta has his ministry, the everlasting gospel, the Adventists filled their mouths with the everlasting gospel, and I, the everlasting gospel, I want to tell you that it is the everlasting deceit. That's what I'm getting at. Everything that the Bible says or the revelation of the everlasting gospel, the gospel is what the religions have. That is the gospel. So then, is it true or a lie? Is Jesus our Savior that came 2,000 years ago and it's the Son of God, or is it a lie? Do I have to worship? Do I have to kneel down and worship Jesus and ask Him to forgive me for the sins and to baptize in His name to be saved, or is that a lie? Because that's what the gospel is. To believe in the Lord Jesus, it is the gospel. So then, that gospel, is it true or a lie? So then, when I read this that says, and I saw fly in the midst of heaven another angel that had the everlasting gospel, no. Because the message of the Messiah is not for the world now. The Messiah has, the Lamb or Messiah has one sole mission, to gather some associates. It's not to conquer the whole world. Later, as a Messiah, He conquers the whole world. But never does He preach to the whole world for them to believe. No. And I saw fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, which directly you can read the everlasting deceit, the everlasting lie, however you want to say it. And everlasting, quote unquote, because it will stop existing and go into the lake of fire. But for now, it's everlasting because it won't end forever. It's a deceit that doesn't end ever. The everlasting deceit. What is that gospel for? To preach unto them that dwell on the earth, to every nation, kindred, and tongue, and people. Yes, was that fulfilled? Yes, it was fulfilled in every version. Because the everlasting gospel enters Yahweh, enters Allah, anything that's a religion. It is the everlasting gospel, is the everlasting deceit. Why? Because here it says, what does it say? Maybe you're doubting, saying, it's difficult for me to understand this because I don't know that you're saying. I don't think that Christian is like that. He's wrong. It's difficult for me to understand this. But now it's going to not be difficult anymore. And the pieces will fall in like in a Swiss clock shop, having the everlasting deceit to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, every nation, kindred, and tongue, and people, saying in a loud voice, fear God and give Him glory, for the hour of His judgment is come. Is that true or is it a lie? Do we have to fear God in the way in which the people understand it, not us, and to give Him glory? Do we have to give glory to God? And it's talking about the Creator because of what it says. If it said the new God, that's fine, but no. Because of what it says now, you'll see that it's not the new God, it's God the Creator. So then there's a message that says we have to worship and fear God the Creator. That message, is it a truth or a lie? It is a lie. And there's no way that you can turn around the things I'm teaching you today. What is the message of the everlasting gospel? Fear God and give Him glory, for the hour of His judgment has come. God has no judgment with us. He has no right to have any judgment with us. The judgment is only of the Messiah. That is why when the Messiah came here, He says, undercover, He says, my Father judges no one. Every judgment He's given to His Son. So then, the only judge, He has no capacity of being a judge. It's not the judge of justice. The only judge and God of justice is the Messiah. So then this message that the people swallow it up, that God is the judge, is a lie. It's the everlasting lie. It is the lie that God spread out through the whole world. It says, fear God and give Him glory, for the hour of His judgment is come. And worship Him that made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and the fountains of the waters. The last thing that I will do is to worship that son of a bitch, the Creator. Why? Because He made me understand to not worship Him, that He leaves, that all who worship Him have a mark. Those that are marked as those who worship the Creator in any version, Jesus, Hashem, Allah, and the fucking bitch that bore you, any version. You worship a Creator, you have the mark to the bone. You have it in your heart. You have it in your hand because you love the Creator. And as it turns out, the message of the everlasting lie is to love, to worship the Creator of this. And they don't know that this guy leaves. They know not that He will only create for 6,000 years, and we're getting to the 6,000 years. And in the 7th millennium, He leaves forever. So then, that is how you start to understand me when I say, and I saw fly in the midst of heaven, a message at a level, I want to say global, but it is not a globe. Another angel that had the everlasting gospel, which is the everlasting deceit, to preach it unto they who dwell upon the earth, every nation, tribe, tongue, and kindred, to say, worship God and fear God and give Him glory, for the hour of His judgment has come, and worship Him who made the heavens, the earth, the waters, the fountains of the waters. That is the mark of the beast. That's what it is. Another angel went and saying, it has fallen, Babylon has. But Babylon is your people, the great city, for they have made all the nations drink of the wine of its fornication. And the third angel followed him, saying in a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, to top it off, he's really a son of a bitch, because that is what happens, that it is concealed. I understand it, because this message, we had to understand it. Not the rest. The beast is God the Creator. So then the first message is worship the beast. The second message is, oh, poor kingdom of the beast has fallen. And the third message says, oh, if you worship the beast, then you will die. But the first message was the worship of the beast, because the beast is that Creator. If you understand this, it's comical, tragically comical, which is impossible for any other mind to understand it. It's impossible. There's no religion, grip, no one has existed to tell you what I'm telling you today. And there's no way for you to see it. And now that you saw it, there's no way of not seeing it. Because that God Creator is the beast. So then the first angel, at a worldwide level, it says worship God the Creator. The second angel says, oh, unfortunately, it says, oh, this government and city of Babylon is a disaster. It says, it's falling, it's fallen. And the third message says, if anyone worships the beast or God in its image, whichever it might be of God, and receives the mark, no matter what mark comes from God, in the heart because you love Him, because you keep the feast, because you keep the things that God says. It doesn't matter what mark it is. If you get circumcised, doesn't matter. The love towards God is enough. If any, it says, if any man worship the beast, in other words, God, in His image, and receives the mark in his forehead or in his hand, he shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone. It says, worship me, you're all worms, and he who worships me, I'll kill you. It's as simple as that. It happened the same thing with Israel. I am your God. I kick you out of your land, and I kill you because I'm your God, and I do what I want. It's simple as that. Same story, as always. The same story of always, except that this one is absolutely clear now to our eyes. To worship God is to have the mark of the beast. The love towards God is to have the mark of the beast. To get to this point of understanding this, it's been years since we stopped kneeling, because I used to kneel before the beast every Shabbat. I used to kneel at the beginning and at the end. Afterward, I stopped kneeling and I would pray without kneeling, but I had to still walk that path, because that path of purification of the beast takes years, because the love towards the beast cannot be quenched by the rivers, or yes, with lots of patience they can, but most people that will go through the death, there's no other way of quenching it. That is why the text says that it's a love so strong that there's no water that can turn it off, and that He is jealous like hell, and that He does not sell Himself for all the money in the world, so that it means that those people will have to experience death. There's no other way of convincing them. That was the key of the text that I read to you of Song of Solomon. So then, if any man worship the beast, first message, worship the beast. Concealed. Concealed. The people don't know, it's a deceit. It's a deceit. Afterwards, oh, they did so wrong. The city's falling. And then it says, well, if any man worship the beast, which was everyone, in its image, and they receive the mark in the forehead or in their hand, they shall also drink of the wrath of God, which has been poured out, blah, 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 blah. Before the blah, 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 and the smoke goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, they who worship the beast. They have no rest, not day or night, while they're living, because of the bitterness that they will have. They will not be able to comprehend. They can't comprehend. They have no rest, they who worship the beast and its image, nor anyone that receives the mark of its name. It has no rest in the figurative way. Here is the patience of the saints, they who keep the commandments of God. No, it's not that God of Moses. And the faith of Jesus is precisely the faith of the Messiah. Remember that this book is to be interpreted by one person, no one else. I've already told you. Always going back to the same thing, always going to the same thing. If you try to, no, but here it says, then it wasn't for you, the message. It was for another person that has to interpret it to you and read it to you, to explain to the associates what will happen, no one else. And I heard a voice that from heaven said unto me, write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. What Lord? What Lord? Lord Jesus Christ? No. From here on out, that they know the new God, per se. Yes, saith the Spirit. Who says it? The Spirit said, yes. Yes, saith the Spirit. They may rest from their labors and their works do follow them. Don't worry that those who die in the eternal truth resurrect first, of course, because they understand it clearly, not the rest. Not the rest. They have such love. They have the mark of the beast. It'll be difficult to take that mark out. It costed us years. Let's start right there. We had it to the bone, to the marrow, but it took us years to take that mark off, to be able to speak at this level, with this wisdom that a Christian would call absolute insanity. It cost us years to be cleansing. The question is, do you still have any remnants of that mark? How much love do you still have for Yahweh? How much love do you have for that Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago? Because we used to sing to him and pray to him, worship him and do feasts for him and plead with him and ask him and implore him, ask him to forgive us. We have to take all that dog shit out from off of us. Take that from off of us. That's the mark. Stuck. That love that says, place me in your heart as a mark. Place me in your arm as a mark. I have another mark, which is boca, boca, boca. Today we have to win. Today we have to win. Very well. 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Now comes a story that's incredible. And upon the cloud one sat like the Son of Man. Here we have it. This is the one that called the Lamb, the Spirit. John only is passing on a message that is only the one that receives the message, that Son of Man, and is the only one that can interpret it. So then he sees that in some point in history when they're all marked, everyone's marked, everyone worshiping. Have you understood what I said today? Is it easily seen to know if those who listen to me, if they're seeing it at least, visualizing what I'm saying? Okay. So then in this vision, you have the Son of Man, which is the best, same thing as to say the Lamb, Spirit, and all the rest, having on his head a golden crown. So then he had already been anointed because he had a golden crown. Notice that had already been anointed in this time. And in his hand, a sharp sickle. He had a very special power. Notice this because it's very good. I won't go into this. It has nothing to do with the mark, but here's something very special. You've got the Son of Man that had just been anointed. That's why he had that golden crown. It was not a golden crown. He said that he had something upon his head like a king, royalty. And to have royalty, that Son of Man had to have been anointed. So then, in a sharp sickle in his hand, a tool was given to him to do something. And another angel came out of the temple carrying, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. This is just a representation that that Son of Man, once it is empowered and made a Mashiach, with the power that is given him in what is Daniel chapter 7, before the Ancient of Days, then he comes, the first thing he does is to look for those that are his. That's first of all. That's why it says, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come to thee to reap. The associates are ready, that's what it says. So then he goes and he gathers the associates. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. That is precisely what I'm saying. Here he goes, and he hands over the power and what he has and what they will need to make up what the Messiah is. But notice that it's the Son of Man, the one that gathers. Of course, God has nothing to do with this anymore.
Y salió otro
And
ángel
another
del
angel
templo que
came
está
out
en
of
el
the temple,
cielo.
which is in
Es que
heaven. This
todo-
it's all symbolism.
que viene
That
la
has
orden, es
the
el momento
command,
de
it's the
ejecutar esto.
time
Salió otro
to
ángel del templo que
execute
está en
this,
el cielo teniendo también una hoz
having a
aguda,
sharp sickle, and
diciendo,
another
mete tu
angel
hoz aguda y vendime a los racimos de la tierra, porque sus uvas están maduras. Y el ángel arrojó su
gather
hoz
the
en la
clusters
tierra,
of the vine of the
vendimió la
earth, for
viña
they
de
are
la
ripe.
tierra y
And the
echó
angel
las
thrust
uvas
in the
en el
sickle
gran
into the
lagar de
earth,
la
and
ira
then
de
gathered
Dios,
the vine
y
on
fue
the earth, and cast
pisado
it
el lagar
in the
fuera
great
de la
winepress
ciudad,
of the
y del
wrath
lagar salió
of
sangre
God,
hasta
and the
refrenos de los
winepress was
caballos por
trodden without the
1600
city.
estadios, y no me
And I could
importa
care less
nada de
about
eso,
all that,
porque para ese
because by
momento la
then
tierra
the
ya es
earth is
del
already
Mesías.
of the
Todo el
Messiah.
resto de
All
la
the
ira
rest
de
of the
Dios
wrath
no
of God no
existe en
longer
realidad.
exists.
Dios no tiene
God
ira.
has no wrath.
Nosotros
We
estamos
have
airados con
wrath
él.
against him.
Eso
That
de la
about the
ira
wrath
de
of
Dios
God
es un
is something that
invento
he
de
made
él
up to
para
say,
decir,
wow,
wow, qué
you're
malos
so
que somos.
evil.
Claro que Dios está
Of
airado
course,
con
God is
nosotros.
angry at us. No,
Para
no,
nada,
no, not at all, not at
absolutamente
all.
para nada. Ya de estar
He must be
jodido,
already sick and
cansado,
tired
diciendo,
saying,
ya
I'm
me
out
voy.
of here.
Y podría
He
acelerar
could
los
accelerate the
tiempos.
times, he could.
Podría empezar
He
todo
could
esto.
start all this today.
Apocalipsis
Revelation
15,
15,
1
1
al
through 8.
8.
Now,
Este
this text
texto
for
para
me
mí es
is
grandioso.
grandiose.
Apocalipsis
Revelation 15,
15,
1 through
1
8.
al 8.
And
Vi
I
en el
saw
cielo
another
otra
sign in
señal
heaven, great
grande
and
y
marvelous,
admirable,
7
siete
angels having
ángeles
the
que
7
tenían las
last
7 plagas
plagues.
postreras,
For in them
porque
is
en ellas
filled
se
up the wrath of
consumaba la
God.
ira de Dios. Vi
And
también
I
como un mar de
saw, as
vidrio
it
mezclado
were, a
con
sea of
fuego,
glass
y
mingled
a los
with
que habían
fire,
alcanzado la victoria
and
sobre
them
la
that had
bestia,
gotten the victory
su
over the
imagen
beast,
y su marca, y el
its
número de
image
su
and its
nombre.
mark, the number of
Justamente,
its name,
ese
precisely
grupo que
that
había
group
alcanzado la victoria
that
sobre
had
la bestia
achieved
son
the victory
aquellos que
upon the
alcanzan
beast
la
are those who
victoria
achieved
sobre
the victory
Yahweh.
upon Yahweh.
Ese es el secreto.
That is the secret. Yahweh is the beast.
Es Jesús.
It is
Es
Jesus.
Alá.
It is Allah.
Es todo Dios.
It is all God.
Y aquellos que
And
alcanzan la
those who
victoria sobre
achieve the
ese
victory
Dios
upon that God
son los que alcanzan
are
la
those who
victoria sobre
reach the
la
victory
bestia.
upon the beast.
Y su imagen,
And
cualquier
its
imagen
image,
sea,
whatever
cualquiera
image it
sea,
might be,
de la
whatever it
imagen
might
de
be,
Hashem,
whether it's
de
the
Jesús,
Hashem,
de Alá,
the
de lo que
Jesus,
sea.
Allah image, whatever.
Y su marca, cualquier
And its
religión,
mark, whatever religion
y
it
el
might be,
número de su
and the number of
nombre,
its name,
en pie sobre el mar
standing
de vidrio con las
upon
arpas
the
de
sea
Dios.
of glass with the harps
Esas
of
arpas
God.
parecen
Those
ser armas,
harps
pero no importa, no es el
would
tema.
seem to be
Me
arms, but
encanta
didn't
este
matter.
texto. Y
I
cantan
love
los
this
cánticos
text.
de Moisés,
And they
siervo
sing
de
the song of
Dios.
Moses, the servant of
No
God,
porque adoren a Moisés
not
ni
because they
nada.
worship Moses,
Solamente hace una referencia de que
it just
están
makes a
contentos
reference
porque cruzaron por
that
el mar
they
abierto.
are
Eso
happy
es lo
because
que
they
se
crossed
refiere.
over the
Y
open
el
sea.
cántico del Cordero,
And the
ese
song
sí,
of the
el
Lamb,
cántico
that
del
one,
Cordero es
yes.
el
The
cántico de
song
por
of the
qué ellos
Lamb,
están
it
ahí.
is because why
Porque
they
no hay
are
otra
there.
razón de por qué
There's no other
ellos,
reason.
si tú
If you
triunfas sobre la bestia
triumph over the
y
beast,
estás triunfando sobre la bestia,
and you're triumphing
no
over
te lo
the
puedes
beast,
ni agradecer a ti.
you
Te tienes
cannot
que
even
agradecer
thank
solamente al
yourself.
Cordero,
You have
nada
to
más.
thank the Lamb only, no one
Porque
else.
si no, no tendrías otra
Or
razón de
else you
luchar
have
contra la
no
bestia.
other
Nunca lo
reason
habrías
of fighting
identificado
against the
quién es
beast.
la
You
bestia.
wouldn't have never
El
identified who the beast
cántico del
is.
Cordero diciendo grandes y maravillosas son tus
The
obras,
song
Señor
of the
Dios
Lamb saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God
Justos y
Almighty.
verdaderos son
Just and
tus
true
caminos,
are thy
Rey de los
ways,
santos.
you King of
No
saints.
le están hablando a Dios,
They're not speaking to
porque
God,
nadie de nosotros en su sano
because none of
juicio
us
diría
in our
esto.
complete sanity would we say
Están
this.
hablando
They're
justamente
speaking
al nuevo
precisely
Dios.
to the
¿Quién
new
no
God,
te temerá, oh
who
Señor,
shall not
y
fear thee, O Lord,
glorificará
and
tu
glorify thy
nombre?
name.
Pues solo tú
For
eres
thou
santo,
only art
por lo
holy,
cual todas las
for
naciones
all
vendrán y
nations
te
shall come
adorarán.
and worship before thee.
Justamente no van a
Precisely,
adorar
they're
al
not going to
Creador,
worship the
sino a la
Creator.
bestia,
He's the beast.
porque tus juicios se han
For thy
manifestado.
judgments are
Después
made
de estas cosas
manifest.
miré, y aquí fue abierto
And
en
after
el
that I
cielo el
looked,
templo del
and behold, the
tabernáculo,
temple of the
del
tabernacle and the
testimonio, y del
testimony in
templo salieron
heaven,
los 7
and
ángeles
was
que tenían
happened, and the
7
7
plagas,
angels came that
vestidos de
had the
lino
7
limpio y
plagues that
resplandeciente,
were
y ceñidos
dressed in
alrededor del pecho con cintos
pure
de oro,
white
bla, bla, todo
linen,
azul.
blah, 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 all garbage.
Y uno de los 4 seres
And one of the
vivientes dio
4
a los 7
beasts
ángeles
gave
7
unto the
copas,
7
bla,
angels
bla,
7,
bla,
blah,
bla,
blah,
toda,
blah. It's
todo
all
relleno.
filler.
Apocalipsis 19,
Revelation
11 al
19,
21.
11 through 21.
Y si no te gusta lo que te estoy diciendo,
And if you
que
don't
estás
like what I'm
diciendo,
saying,
esto es
this is
basura,
filler, this is
entonces
garbage, then
no me escuchas.
don't listen to
Ve a
me.
buscar y
Go
adora
look for and worship God
en otro lado.
somewhere else
hasta que entiendas que
until you understand
adorabas a la bestia.
that you were worshiping the beast.
Apocalipsis 19,
Revelation
11,
19:11
entonces
to
vi el cielo
21.
abierto,
And I
y aquí
saw
un
heaven
caballo
open, and
blanco, y el
behold,
que
a
lo
white
montaba se
horse,
llamaba Fiel
and he
y
that sat upon
verdadero,
it
y
was
con
called
justicia
Faithful and
juzga y
True, and in
pelea.
righteous he
Sus
doth
ojos
judge
eran
and
como llama de
make
fuego
war.
de
His eyes
día,
were a
en
flame
su
of
cabeza
fire,
muchas
and
diademas, y
in his
tenía un
head he
nombre
had many
escrito que
crowns. He had a
ninguno
name
conocía
written that
sino
no
él
man knew
mismo.
but he
Estaba
himself.
vestido de una ropa
And he
teñida
was
en
clothed
sangre, y
with a
su nombre
vesture
es el
dipped in blood,
Verbo de
and his name
Dios.
is
Y los
called the
ejércitos
Word of God,
celestiales,
and the armies
vestidos de lino
which were in heaven
finísimo,
followed him
blanco y
upon the
limpio,
white
le
horses,
seguían en
clothed
caballos
in fine
blancos.
linen, white and
De su
clean.
boca sale
And out of his
una
mouth
espada
goeth
aguda
a
para
sharp
herir con
sword,
ella las naciones,
that
y él las
with it
regirá
he shall
con
smite the
vara de
nations, and he
hierro.
shall rule them with a
Y él
rod of
pisa
iron.
el lagar del
And he
vino del
treadeth the
furor de la ira del
winepress
Dios
and the fierce
Todopoderoso,
press
y
of
en
the
su
wrath of Almighty
vestidura y en
God,
sus
and in
muslos
his
tienen escrito,
vesture
este
and in
nombre:
his thigh he
Rey de
has this
Reyes y
name, King
Señor
of
de
Kings and Lord
Señores.
of Lords.
Y vi a un
And I
ángel que
saw
estaba de
an
pie
angel
en el sol,
standing in the sun,
clamó a gran voz diciendo
and he
a
cried with a
todas las
loud
aves
voice,
que vuelan
saying
en medio del
to
cielo:
all the
venid
fowls that fly in
y
the midst of
congregaos a
heaven,
la gran
saying,
cena
Come
de
and gather
Dios,
yourselves
para que
together unto
comáis
the supper
carnes
of
de
the great
reyes y
God,
de
that
capitanes y
ye
carnes
may
de
eat the
fuertes,
flesh
carnes
of
de
kings, and the
caballos y
flesh
de
of
sus
captains, and
jinetes,
the flesh
y
of mighty
carnes
men,
de
and the
todos,
flesh of horses,
libres
and
y
of them that sit
esclavos,
on them,
pequeños y grandes.
free and bond,
Y vi a
small
la
and great.
bestia,
And I saw the beast,
a los reyes de la
and the
tierra
kings of the earth,
y a sus
and their
ejércitos
armies,
reunidos
gathered
para
together
guerrear
to make
contra el
war
que
against
montaba el
him that
caballo
sat
y
on the
contra
horse,
su
and against
ejército.
his army.
Se va a poner interesante.
It'll be interesting.
Y la
And the
bestia
beast
fue apresada,
was taken,
y con ella el
and with
falso
him the false
profeta,
prophet,
que había hecho
that
delante de
wrought
ellas
miracles
las
before him,
señales con las cuales había
with
engañado a
which
los
he
que
deceived, that
recibieron
had received the
la
mark of
marca
the
de la
beast,
bestia y habían
and them that
adorado su
worshipped
imagen.
his image.
Todo es
It's all about worship.
todo es
It's all
adoración.
about worship.
Estos dos
These both
fueron lanzados
were cast
vivos
alive
dentro de un
into
lago
a
de
lake of
fuego que
fire
arde como
burning
si
with
fuera.
brimstone.
La bestia,
The
que es un
beast,
puppet de
which is a
Yahweh,
puppet of Yahweh,
es primero lanzado al lago de
is
fuego,
first
que es
cast into the lake
la
of
no
fire, which is the
existencia.
non-existence.
Y después de los
And
1000
afterwards,
años,
after 1,000
el
years,
mismo nombre y la
the
figura
very
de
name and the
Yahweh,
figure of Yahweh,
no la persona, sino
not
esa
the person, but
serpiente,
rather that person,
es lanzada al lago de fuego.
is cast into the lake of fire. These
Estos
two,
dos,
the
la
beast
bestia y la
and
imagen,
the image,
fueron lanzados
were
vivos
cast
dentro de un lago de
alive
fuego que arde con
into a lake
azufre.
of fire.
Y además, y los
And the
demás
rest that were
muertos con
dead
la
with
espada que salía de
the
la boca del que
sword of
montaba el
him that
caballo,
sat
y
upon the
todas
horse,
las
which
aves se
sword
saciaron
proceeded of his mouth, and all
de
the
la
fowls were
carne
filled
de
with their
ellos.
flesh. Revelation
Apocalipsis
20,
1 al
1 through
1 al
15.
15.
And I saw an
Y un
angel come
ángel
down
que
from
descendía
heaven,
del cielo con
having
la
the key
llave
of the
del
bottomless pit,
abismo
and a
y
great
una
chain in
gran
his
cadena
hand.
en la mano. Y
And he
prendió el
laid hold on
dragón,
the dragon. This is Yahweh, Jesus,
Jesús,
the
el
Holy
Espíritu
Spirit,
Santo,
the
la
Trinity,
Trinidad,
Allah,
Alá,
all the
todas las
versions.
versiones. La
The old
serpiente
serpent,
antigua,
which is
quien
the
es
devil
el
and
diablo
Satan,
y Satanás,
and
y
bound
lo
him
ató
1,000
por
years,
1000 años.
and
Y lo
cast him
arrojó
into
al
the
abismo y
bottomless
lo
pit,
encerró
and shut
y
him
puso
up,
su
and set
sello
a seal
sobre
upon
él,
him,
para que
that
no
he should
engañase
deceive the nations
más
no
a las
more,
naciones,
till
hasta
the
que
1,000
fuesen
years should be
cumplidos 1000
fulfilled.
años. Y
And
después
after
de
that
esto
he
debe ser
must be
desatado
loosed a
por un
little
poco de
season.
tiempo.
And I saw
Y vi
thrones,
tronos,
and they
y
sat
se sentaron
upon
sobre
them,
ellos los que recibieron facultad de
and
juzgar,
judgment
porque
was
el
given
Dios
unto them, because God the Creator does
creador no
not judge
juzga
ever again.
nunca más.
And I saw the
Y vi
souls
las
of them
almas de
that
los
were
decapitados
beheaded
por
for
causa
the
del
witness of
testimonio
Jesus,
del
the
Mashiach y
Mashiach,
por la
and the
palabra
word
de
of God,
Dios. Los
which
que
had
no
not
habían
worshipped the beast.
adorado a
So
la
then
bestia,
the
entonces la
word of
palabra
God
de
has
Dios
to
tiene que ser
be
del
of the new
nuevo
God,
Dios,
of
por
course.
supuesto.
There
No puede
can't be
haber
someone
alguien
there
ahí
that is
que sea
John,
Juan, que sea
Peter,
Pedro, que sea eh, eh,
the
los
prophets of
profetas
the
del
Old
Antiguo
Testament,
Testamento, ni
Isaiah,
Isaías,
Jeremiah,
Jeremías,
or even
ni
Paul.
aún Pablo.
There
No
can't
puede
be
haber
any
nadie
of them
ahí,
there,
porque
because they
todos
were all
eran
worshippers of the
adoradores
beast,
de
all
la
of them.
bestia, todos.
So then
Entonces
these
estos
that are here
están acá,
are
son
worshippers
adoradores
of the new
del
God.
nuevo Dios.
And
Y
when
cuando
I
me
say
refiero a
worshippers
adoradores
is
es
that
que
they follow
siguen
him
por
whithersoever
donde
he
quiera que va.
goeth,
Los que
that
no
had
habían
not worshipped the
adorado a la
beast,
bestia
neither his
ni a su
image,
imagen,
neither
y
had
que no
received his
recibieron
mark
la
upon
marca
their
en sus
foreheads
frentes
or in their
ni en sus
hands,
manos,
and they
y
lived lived and reigned with the Mashiach 1,000 years. Here it is very clear. It is very clear who are they who will reign to reign along the Messiah, and which are part of the Messiah. Those
que no
who do not have the
tienen
mark
la
of the
marca
beast.
de la bestia.
And the mark
La
of the
marca de
beast
la bestia
is
es adoración.
worship. It is the religion.
No hay
There's
ninguna
no
vacuna,
shot.
no es ningún
There's
día
no
de
day of
reposo,
rest.
no es
There is
ningún
no
sello
seal
de
of a
otra
different
clase,
kind. It is
no es la
not
inteligencia
artificial
artificial,
intelligence.
no es
It's
un
not a
microchip,
microchip. It
es
is worship.
adoración. Y
And it
empieza a ser
starts
lógico,
to click
porque ¿quién puede ser
logically.
parte del
Who
Mesías si
can
no
be a
se
part of
crea
the
Jesús?
Messiah if they don't
No puede
believe
haber
themselves
nadie
to be a
parte
part
del
of the
Mesías que
Messiah?
esté esperando
There
un Dios que
can't
lo
be
salve.
anyone that's a part of the
Nadie
Messiah
puede
that
ser parte
is
del Mesías
still
quien
waiting for somebody
todavía
to come and save them,
piensa que hay que pedirle
or
perdón a
anyone
Dios
that
por
still
algo.
thinks that they have to ask
Cuando
God to
Él
forgive them for something,
tiene que
when He has to
implorarnos el
implore
perdón,
us to
darnos
forgive
lo
Him.
que nos tiene
Give
que
us
dar
what you have to give
el
us the
poder
power and
e
leave.
irse. No tiene
It has
ninguna
no
lógica
logic
que
that
ningún
any
adorador de
worshiper of
Dios
God
sea
is a part
parte
of
de
this
este
group,
grupo,
because this
porque
group
este grupo se cree que es
believes
Dios.
themselves to be God. This group,
Este grupo
we
nos
believe that
creemos
we're
que
God,
somos Dios,
the
el
only God.
nuevo Dios.
That's why
Por eso nos
we
autodenominamos el
self-call
nuevo
ourselves
Dios.
the new Argentine God. God is Argentinian. That's
No
the way
es
it
el
is.
creador.
It's not the creator.
Dios es
God
el
is Argentinian,
y Dios es del Club
and
Atlético
God
Boca.
is of the Boca
¿Por qué?
Juniors
Porque
Athletic
así
Club.
es el
Why?
nuevo
Because
Dios.
that's the new God,
Técnico
whether you like it or not.
es
It's take it or leave it.
o libre.
Take it
Tomarlo
or leave it. Take it
tomarlo
or leave it.
o dejarlo.
It's as simple as that.
Sencillo como eso. Pero no puede haber
But there cannot be worshippers
adoradores
of other
de otro
gods.
Dios.
We don't
Lo
accept them.
aceptamos.
That's why it
Por eso
says,
dice,
and I
y
saw
vi
thrones,
tronos y se sentaron sobre ellos los que
and upon
recibieron
them sat
facultad
they
de
who
juzgar,
had that
y vi las almas de
faculty
los
to
decapitados
judge,
por
and they
causa
that
del
had been
testimonio
beheaded due to the
del
testimony of the
Mashiach y
Mashiach
por
and
la
because of the
palabra
word of
de
God,
Dios,
they
los
that
que no
had
habían
not
adorado
worshipped
a
the
la
beast
bestia
or its
ni a su
image,
imagen y que
and
no
that did not
recibieron la
receive
marca
the
en sus
mark in their
frentes ni en
foreheads or
sus
hands,
manos,
and they
y
lived
vivieron
and
y
reigned with the
reinaron con
Mashiach
el
1,000
Mashiach
years.
1000
But the
años. Pero
rest of
los
the
otros
dead,
muertos,
the
los
worshippers,
adoradores,
lived
no
not
volvieron a
again
vivir
until
hasta
the
que se
1,000 years were
cumplieron 1000
finished.
años.
This is
Esta
the
es la
first
primera
resurrection.
resurrección.
Blessed and
Bienaventurado
holy
y
is
santo
he
el que
that
tiene
hath
parte
part
en
in
la
the first
primera
resurrection.
resurrección.
The
La
second that
segunda
hath no
porque no
power
tiene
upon them.
potestad sobre
But
estos,
they shall be
sino que serán
priests of God
sacerdotes
and
de
of
Dios y de
Christ, in
Cristo,
other
o
words, the
sea, del
Mashiach, the new
el
God of
nuevo
the
Dios
earth,
de la tierra,
and
y
they shall reign
reinarán
with
con
him
él
1,000
1000
years.
años.
And
Cuando
when the
los
1,000
1000
years
años se
are
cumplan,
up,
otra vez
once again
Satanás,
Satan,
diablo,
Yahweh, however
como
you want to
quieras
call him in
llamarlo
this
en este
case,
caso,
shall be
será
loosed of his
suelto de su
prison, and
prisión
shall go
y
out to
saldrá a
deceive the
engañar a las
nations which
naciones
are
que
in
están
the
en los
four
4
quarters of the
ángulos de
earth,
la
Gog and
tierra, Gog
Magog,
y Magog,
to
a fin
gather
de
them
reunirlos
together for
para la
battle.
batalla.
I
Yo
personally do not
personalmente no
believe
creo
that
que
Satan
Satanás
or
o
God
Dios
will
vuelva
ever
nunca
return.
más. Pasa que al
It's just that by
resucitar a esa gente,
resurrecting those
la
people, the
presencia y la adoración a Dios en
worship
ellos está
towards
presente.
God is present in them.
Entonces es como que
It's as
ellos
if they serve
sirven y
and they
adoran a
worship that
ese
God.
Dios.
It's
No es
not
que
that
esté
God
Dios,
is,
pero es
but
como
it's as
que
if
Dios
God
está
is
suelto
let
de su
loose
prisión.
of his
¿Por
prison.
qué?
Why?
Si
If
están
they're all
todos
dead,
muertos
those who
los que
worship God,
adoran a Dios y
and
los que
those who are
están
alive don't
vivos no
worship
adoran
God,
a Dios,
then
entonces
that God
ese
died.
Dios murió.
But
Pero
as long as
mientras
someone
alguien
believes in
crea en
that
ese
God
Dios, ese Dios
exists.
existe.
Did you
¿Me
understand
entienden
what
lo
I'm
que
trying
les
to say?
quiero decir?
He exists.
Existe. Y si
And if
todos
all
los
who
que
are
están
resurrected
resucitados
believe
creen
that
en
God,
ese
then of
Dios,
course He
claro que
exists.
existe.
But it's not
Pero
that
no es
God
que
the
Dios
Creator has
creador haya
returned.
vuelto.
No,
No,
no.
no.
But the
Pero la
figure of
figura
that
de
God
ese Dios
Creator is
creador
there.
está.
So then it
Entonces
says,
dice,
and
y
they
subieron
went
sobre la
up on the
anchura o
breadth or
planicie
the
de la
flat
tierra
of the
y
earth,
rodearon al
and
campamento de
compassed the
los
camp of
santos y
the
la
saints
ciudad
about
amada,
and
y
beloved
de Dios
city,
descendió,
and
de Dios,
fire came down from
nuestro
God, the
Dios,
new God, out of heaven,
descendió
and
fuego
devoured
del
them.
cielo y los
And the
consumió.
devil that
Y el
deceived
diablo
them,
que los engañaba,
that
ese
concept of God,
concepto de
Yahweh,
Dios,
the
Yahweh,
everlasting gospel,
el
finally
evangelio
now that
eterno, por
everlasting
fin ahora
gospel is
ese
placed
evangelio eterno
into the lake
puesto
of fire.
en el lago de fuego.
And the
Y
devil that deceived
el
them
diablo
was
que los
cast into the
engañaba
lake of
fue
fire and
lanzado en
brimstone,
el lago de
where
fuego
the
y
beast
azufre,
and the false
donde
prophet
estaban
are.
la bestia
They
y
were
el
already
falso
there,
profeta. Ya estaban ahí,
in
en
that
ese
non-existence.
no existencia
And
nunca
they
más.
shall be
Y
tormented
serán
day and night forever and
atormentados
ever.
día y noche por
That's
los
just
siglos
to
de los
add
siglos.
to
Eso
it,
para
just to make it
para
dramatic.
agregarle y hacerlo
It is the
dramático. Es
non-existence
no existencia
ever again.
nunca
And I saw a great
más.
white
Y vi
throne,
un gran
and
trono
him
blanco,
that that sat on it, from
Y al que
whose
estaba
face the
sentado
earth
en
and
él,
heaven
de delante del
fled
cual huyeron la
away, and
tierra,
there
el
was
cielo
found no
y
place for them.
ningún lugar se encontró
He
para
enters
ellos.
into a different dimension, like
Entra
I've
en
already
otra
explained to you.
dimensión, como ya les expliqué.
And I saw the dead, where the dead
Y vi a
are,
los muertos, donde
and I
estaban
saw the
muertos.
dead, small and great,
Vi a
stand.
los
They're
muertos,
dead, but
grandes
they're
y
standing
pequeños, de pie, estaban muertos. porque
before
estaban de
God.
pie.
And the
De
books
pie
were
ante
opened,
Dios, Y los
And
libros
another
fueron
book was opened,
abiertos,
which is the
y
book
otro
of
libro
life.
fue abierto, el cual es
For
el
the
libro
new
de la
God
vida.
is the one that will
Porque el
give life
nuevo
to
Dios
everyone,
es
and
el
the
que le
dead
da la
were
vida a todos.
judged. That
Y
part
fueron
about being judged
juzgados.
is not
Ese
that they were
juzgado
judged
no es
for.
que
No,
sean
no.
juzgados. No, no.
I've analyzed
He
every case
analizado
because we
cada
have to
caso
solve
porque
every case
cada
in a
caso
different
hay que
way.
resolverlo de una forma diferente.
We have to help them to change their
Y hay
life.
que
The new
ayudarlo
God
a
will save
cambiar su
everyone.
vida. El nuevo Dios va a
Everyone.
salvar a todos. A todos.
Whatever it may
Cueste
cost.
lo que
He
costare.
saves everyone.
A todos salva.
Whatever time it takes,
El
he has
tiempo
no
que
time.
llegue,
He's eternal.
no tiene problema. Es eterno.
And we have to leave him dead
Y si hay
for
que
some
dejarlo un
time.
tiempo muerto,
He'll
se
stay
quedará
there
un
a
tiempo
little
muerto,
longer,
y
a
un
little
tiempo
longer
más,
until
y
he
un
understands
tiempo
and
más,
learns.
hasta que entienda y aprenda.
But they will all learn.
Pero todos van a aprender.
And the dead were
Y
judged out of
fueron
those
juzgados
things
los
which
muertos
were
por las
written in the
cosas que estaban
books,
escritas en los
according
libros
to
según
their
sus
works.
obras.
Exactly
Hay que
what they
conocer
did.
exactamente qué
And the
hicieron.
sea gave
Y
up
el
the
mar
dead
entregó
which
los
were
muertos
in
que
it,
había
and the
en él,
death and
y
hell
la
delivered
muerte
up
y
the
el
dead
Hades
which were
entregaron
in
los
them,
muertos que
and
había
they
en
were
ellos,
judged every
y
man
fueron
according to their
juzgados
works.
cada uno según
And death
sus
and hell
obras. Y la muerte y
were
el
cast
Hades
into the lake
fueron
of fire.
lanzados
This
al
is the
lago
second
de
death,
fuego.
and
Esta es la
whosoever was not
muerte
found written
segunda.
in the
Y el
book
que
of
no se
life
halló
was
inscrito
cast
en el libro de la
into the lake
vida
of fire.
fue lanzado
What it
al lago
means
de
is that the
fuego.
new
Lo que
God
significa
will
que el
not
nuevo
cast
Dios
any
no va a
being
lanzar a
into the lake
ningún
of
ser
fire.
al lago
What he will
de fuego.
cast
Lo
is
que va a lanzar es
the Babylonian system,
el sistema Babilonia,
the system of
el
government,
sistema de
the
gobierno,
beast,
la bestia,
which is the system of government.
sistema de
Every
gobierno.
religion will
Cada
end up in the lake of
religión
fire.
va a parar al lago de fuego.
Death,
La muerte,
the grave,
la
and
tumba,
also the
y
concept
también el concepto
that God gave unto the world.
que Dios
In other words,
dio
Yahweh,
al mundo.
God the Creator.
O sea,
That concept
Yahweh, Dios creador.
will end up
Ese
in the lake of
concepto
fire.
va a parar al lago de fuego.
That is what
Eso es lo que
the mark of
es
the
la
beast
marca
is.
de
The mark
la
of the
bestia.
beast is
La
something
marca de la bestia es
which
algo
we would not
que
understand
no íbamos a entender
until right now.
hasta este momento.
Because, first of all,
Porque una que
before understanding it,
antes de
we had to
entenderla,
come out.
teníamos que salir.
In other words, if I were to
O
speak
sea
to you
que
about
si
this
yo
subject,
les hablaba de este
while
tema,
you
mientras
were
ustedes
worshippers of Yahweh, you would not have understood it.
adoradores de
You would
Yahweh,
not have
no lo
understood
hubieran
it. You would have said, no, that's not
no
the
lo
mark of the
hubieran
beast.
entendido y dicho, no,
How's
eso
that
no
going to
es
be
la
the mark of the beast?
¿Cómo va a
It's
ser la marca
impossible.
de la bestia eso? Es imposible.
If you were still praying and
Ustedes
I
seguían
still
orando,
to
y
Yahweh
yo
in one
también a Yahweh, y un
Shabbat, I would tell
sábado
you the
yo
mark of
les
the
decía a
beast is to
ustedes,
worship
la
Yahweh,
marca
you would
de
have
la
said,
bestia es adorar a
I'm
Yahweh.
not going to
Ustedes
listen
dicen,
to this guy. He's crazy.
no lo
He's
escucho más,
crazy.
está loco. Está loco.
First, we
Primero
had to
había
take the
que
mark off
sacarse la marca
to be able to see it.
para poder ver.
And the mark of the beast is the
La
worship
marca de la bestia es la adoración.
that
Que
humanity
tuvo
always had. And in
siempre
this
la
last
humanidad.
moment, this
Y en este
beast,
último momento,
the one that
esta bestia,
directs
la que
us,
nos dirige,
they
le
impose all the
imponen todos los
flavors that
sabores
there's ever
habidos
been
y
because it's
por haber,
Yahweh.
porque es Yahweh.
And even the Bible
Y
itself
aún la
indicates to
misma
you that
Biblia
Yahweh
te indica
obligates
que Yahweh
that part that I
obliga.
read
Esa
about the
parte que leí
Revelation,
Apocalipsis, el
the
evangelio eterno,
everlasting
para
gospel
predicarlo a
to
todos
publish
los
unto all the
moradores de la
dwellers of the
tierra.
earth.
Es lo mismo
Is
que
this
decir,
the same thing as
toma
to
de
say,
mí,
take of
Jeremías,
me this
esta
cup,
copa,
Jeremiah, and
y
give it to all
dásela a
the dwellers of
todos
the
los
earth?
moradores de la tierra.
It's
Es
exactly the
exactamente
same
la misma
expression that I
expresión
revealed to you
que
today.
hoy te la
I
develé.
revealed it to you today because I
Hoy te
can
la
imagine that
develé,
in your mind you're
porque
going
yo
to
me
think
imagino que en tu mente
in that
vas a
text and you
pensar
say,
ese
wow,
mismo
incredible.
texto y vas a decir, qué
If today
increíble.
Christian would
Si
not say
hoy
that the
Cristian no
everlasting
decía
gospel is the
que el
everlasting
evangelio
lie,
eterno es la mentira
I would not
eterna,
notice. In other words, you
no me
already
daba cuenta. O sea, que
had
ya la tenía
it
aceptada
psychologically there,
psicológicamente,
but if
por
I had not
supuesto,
read that, I would not
pero
notice
si
that
yo
it was
leía eso
there.
no me daba cuenta
I
que
still
estaba
thought that the
leyendo.
everlasting
Todavía
gospel
pensaba que el
was
evangelio
us,
eterno
the
éramos
eternal truth,
nosotros, la verdad
that I
eterna,
could read
que
the
podía leer
eternal
ahí
truth
la
there.
verdad eterna. Y la verdad
But it
eterna
was
no
not
fue
given
para
to
hablar en
all
todos los
languages,
idiomas, tribu,
kindred,
lengua y
and
nación.
tongues.
No,
No,
es para un poquito
just
de
for a little
ustedes.
tiny few of you,
Poquititos.
very few, rather
Muy
few,
poquititos.
which are
Que
the
son los
associates
socios.
and no one else.
Nadie más.
It's not a
No es un
message
mensaje
for
para
people's
pueblos,
kindreds and
muchedumbres,
tongues.
naciones y lenguas.
That
Para
is
eso
what
es
the
el
everlasting gospel
evangelio
is.
eterno. O
The
sea, el
everlasting
engaño
deceit,
eterno.
the
O
cup.
sea, la copa.
The rest,
El
we
resto, nosotros nos quitamos
take the
las
marks
marcas
off
que
that we
teníamos
had of Yahweh,
de Yahweh.
and we're
Y
ready
estamos listos
for the
para el
following
siguiente
step.
paso.
This
El
following
siguiente
step
paso es
is to receive
recibir
what
lo que
Yahweh
Yahweh
promised promised that he would give
prometió que iba a dar a aquellos
to
que
those
no
that would not have the mark,
tuvieran
those
llamado, aquellos
who
que
would
no
not have the
tuvieran
mark,
llamado.
to the
A tal
point
punto
that we had to
tuvimos que
go
pasar
through
para
to
entender
understand
esto,
this, that
que En una de las fiestas de adoración a Yahweh,
In one of the
llamada
feasts of
Yom
worship
Kippur,
towards Yahweh called Yom Kippur,
echamos
we blamed
toda la
everything
culpa.
on him.
Y
And
le
we said,
dijimos,
you
tú
are
eres
that
ese
lamb,
cordero,
not lamb,
no cordero,
goat,
cabrito,
he-goat,
macho cabrío,
a
cabrón.
fucking he-goat.
Vamos por ahí. Tú eres ese
You're
cabrón
that fucking
que
he-goat that
por
because of
culpa
your fault,
tuya, todo el mal que se hace en
everything
la tierra
that is caused on
te
earth
cae
falls
sobre
upon
ti.
you. Your
Tú eres la maldad,
wickedness,
tú
your
eres todo.
everything.
Y le echamos la culpa
And
a
we
él
blamed him for
completamente. Ahí se
everything. That is where
terminó
our
nuestra
worship
adoración.
ended. That's
Ahí se
where our
terminó nuestra
worship
adoración.
ended, to be able
Para lograr
to
entender
achieve, to
lo
understand
que
what
es
the
la
mark of the beast
marca
is.
de la bestia.
So then,
Así que,
and I've already given you
ya les
enough
di
for
bastante
today,
de
so
hoy,
then there's no
así
more
que no
need
hace
that
falta
we
que
study
estudiemos
Proverbs.
Proverbios ni
I
el
like
toque
that
aún.
even this
Este
chapter for me,
capítulo
it's
que
very
para mí
important.
es muy importante.
It's
Es
impressive.
impresionante.
Is hidden
Está
in a
escondido en
series
una
of Wisdom
serie
and
de
Discipline,
sabiduría
part
que tiene parte
79.
79.
It's
Cuenta
not that I
que
made a
no es que es
series,
una
man.
serie
The
diciendo,
mark of
la
the
marca de la
beast. No, no, no. I
bestia.
don't care.
No me interesa.
I don't care.
No me
What I
interesa.
do
Lo que
care
sí me
about
interesa
is that
es que
you,
ustedes,
the
los
associates,
socios,
have
lo
understood it
hayan entendido.
and have
Y lo
understood
hayan
it well,
entendido bien.
and that
Y que
only
solamente
we
nosotros nos
escape
escapamos de
that
esa
mark.
marca.
And that the
Y que la
mark,
marca
it's not
no
that
es
it
que te
makes
hace
you
merecedor de una muerte horrenda o
deserving
de
of a
unas
horrible death
ronchas.
or
No.
some
Lo que va a sufrir la gente por
awful signs on your
amar a Yahweh o amar a
on your
Jesús.
skin. No. It's
Porque
all
por más que
because
nosotros con las
these
mejores
people did this because they
intenciones,
loved God, and the people with
y
the
si no
best
me
of
crees,
intentions
trata,
are else
busca
tried. Look
cualquier
at for
cristiano
any
y
Christian and
explícale
explain
lo
to
que
them what you
sabes, a ver cómo te
know.
va a tratar.
See
No
how
hay
they'll treat you.
forma.
There's no way. There's no
No hay
way
forma
that you tell
de
them
que tú le digas
Jesus does
Jesús
not
no
exist,
existe
and your love for
y tu amor
Jesus
por
is
Jesús
a mark.
es una marca,
It is the mark of
y
the
es la
beast.
marca de la bestia.
There's no way
No
for
hay
them
forma
to
que lo entiendan.
understand it.
Entonces, es tan
So then that's so
terrible,
terrible,
tan
it's so
agarrado,
engraved that
que
it'll
nos va a
cost us a
costar
lot
mucho
to
sacarlo.
take it out.
Pero
But the good
la
news
buena
is
noticia es
that I
que
took
yo
it
a
out
ustedes
of
se la
you.
saqué.
And it took us a
Y nos
long
llevó
time.
mucho tiempo.
The other good
Y la
news
otra
is
buena noticia es
that
que
we'll
se la
end
vamos a
up
terminar
taking
sacando
that
a
out
todo
of the
el
whole
mundo.
world,
Aunque
even if it
después
costs them to have to go
tenga que
through
pasar
death.
por la
But
muerte. Pero que se la vamos
the
a
fact that
sacar,
we're going to take it out of them, we're
se
going to
la
take it
vamos
out of them.
a sacar.
And
Y
now
ahora queda
it is more
más
understandable
entendible
when it
cuando
says
dice
that
que el
the God
Dios de
of justice
justicia se
sits
sienta
to
a
cleanse
limpiar con
with
agua
water
y
and soap
jabón
the sons of Levi to purify them like silver, like argentum, like the argentum. Why? Because they had to wash them of what? Of the marks. Of the marks of the beast that we have as a creator. Psalm 78, 1 through 2. All my people, hear my teachings. Open your ears unto what I say. Because I shall speak unto thee by means of a parable. I shall teach thee hidden lessons of our past. Avanti. If they cast you down 10 times, rise up another 10, another 100, another 500 times. Your fall shall not be so violent, not by law shall be so many. With the great hunger with which plants assimilate the greedy humus, swallowing the resentment of affronts, the saints and the holy ones were formed. An almost donkey-like obsession to be strong. The creature needs nothing more, and in any unhappy one, I imagine that the hooks of fate are dulled. All the incurable have a cure 5 seconds before their death. We are those crazies. Do you know it, my friends? We are those crazies, for we think that there is an eternal justice that is called to rule the world. Now we are crazy because we think that to worship God is the mark of the beast, that every religion is the mark of the beast.
Por eso somos
That is why we are crazy.
Y si por eso
And
somos
if that's why we are
locos,
crazy,
yo me lleno de
I am
orgullo
filled with pride
de ser loco
of being
de ese
crazy
modo.
in
Yo
that
me
way.
enoblezco
I am
con la locura
become ennobled with
de
the
creer como creo.
insanity of believing in the way that I
Que un
believe.
sepulcro está
That our
cavado ya
grave
para
is
nuestros
dug up already
tiranos y
for our
para
tyrants and for Yahweh.
y que la libertad
And
viene,
that liberty cometh,
que el reinado del
that the
pueblo
reign
ya
of
se
the people
acerca,
draweth nigh,
que una grande
that a great
época
epoch
va
is
a comenzar.
about to begin.
Nace una
A
flor
flower is born
todos los días
every day,
sabes.
the sun comes
De
out.
vez en
Every
cuando
now and
escuchas
then you hear
aquella
that voice.
como de pan,
As of a delicious
cosas
bread,
cantar
delicious to
en los
sing
aleros
in the
de la
balconies
mente
of the
con
mind
las
along with the
chícharas.
cicadas.
Pero a la vez
But in
existe
turn,
un
a
transformador
transformer
que te
exists
consume lo
that
mejor que
consumes the
tenés, te
best
tira
that
atrás,
you've
te
got,
pide
it
más
throws you
y
back
más,
and
y
demands
llega un
more
punto
and
en
more, and
que
there comes a
no
point in which
querés.
you no longer
Ahí
want.
es cuando mama
That
la
is
libertad.
where
Siempre
suck
la
at the liberty's
llevarás
breast, you will
dentro
always
del
carry her
corazón.
within the heart.
Te pueden
They may
corromper,
corrupt you,
te pueden marcar,
they may mark you,
te puedes olvidar,
you may even forget,
pero ella
but she
siempre
is
está.
always there.
Ayer soñé
Yesterday I had a dream
con los marcados,
with the marked,
con los hambrientos,
with the hungry,
con los locos,
with the crazies,
los que se fueron,
those who
los que
left,
están
those who are in
prisión.
prison.
Hoy
Today
desperté
I awoke
cantando esta
singing
canción,
this
que ya
song,
fue
which
escrita
has
hace
been written
tiempo
time
atrás,
ago,
y es necesario
and it is necessary
cantar
to sing it
de nuevo.
again one more time. The destiny,
Está
it is written.
El
The
final
end
es
is
inevitable.
inevitable.
Dios,
God,
el
the
nuevo
new
Dios,
God,
es
is Argentinian.
Sean
Let the
eternos
laurels
los
be
laureles
eternal
que
that we knew
sostenemos
had to
conseguir,
achieve.
coronados
Crowned
de
with
gloria
glory,
y
let us
juramos,
live,
o
or we
juramos,
swear,
con
with
gloria
glory
morir.
to die.
Ella sabe
She
claramente
clearly
que vamos a
knows that we're
terminar.
about to end.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Let's
Aguante
go,
la
the
verdad
eternal
eterna.
truth.
Aguante
Let's go,
los que
those
se
who
quitaron
had
la
taken the mark
marca y
off,
ahora en
and
este
right
momento
now
son
they are
limpios,
cleansed,
no
they're not
marcados,
marked.
porque no
For that we do
adoramos
not
a
worship
nadie.
anyone,
Nosotros
we
somos
are
nuestro
our own
Dios.
God.
Aguante
Let's go,
la
the
verdad
eternal
eterna.
truth.
No te olvides
Do not forget
de poner like,
to
de
give us a
comentar
like,
este
comment
video.
this
Gracias
video.
por sus
Thank you for your collaborations,
colaboraciones, a
all
todos
the
los
associates,
socios,
because
somos
we're
socios y
associates.
tenemos un
And we have one
objetivo.
objective.
Nos
We shall meet
encontramos
again
el
next
próximo
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Let's go
Aguante
Boca.
Boca.
Today
Hoy
we
jugamos
play in
un
a little bit.
ratito. Ahora vamos a
We're
comer
gonna eat
pollo,
chicken
en
on the
asado.
grill with
En
coals,
masa, no
on the
asado, la
coals.
masa, que ya
And
lo
it's
tenemos
already
hecho,
made.
comprado, pero
It
de
is
un lugar
bought
rico como
from
el
a
Pollo Loco.
nice place like El Pollo Loco. Spectacular.
Por contar,
I'm just
porque
letting you
tengo
know
hambre.
because
Vamos
I'm
a comer eso.
hungry.
Así que
That's
nos
what we're gonna
encontramos
eat.
el
So we'll
próximo
meet
Shabbat.
again next Shabbat.
Aleluyah para cada uno de ustedes.
Hallelujah to
Aguante
every one of
Boca.
you. Let's go
Aguante los
Boca.
no
Let's go the
marcados.
non-marked.
Los que no
Those
adoramos a ese
of us who
hijo
do
de
not
puta
worship that
llamado
son of a
Yahweh,
bitch called
Jesús,
Yahweh,
y toda la
Jesus,
puta que
and
le
all the
venimos a
fucking
él.
bitch that
Aleluya
bore
para
him.
cada uno de ustedes.
Hallelujah to every one of you.